Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. It is Hoopsville on the road. Yeah, we're not in the Hoopsville studios, but I am still your host, Dave McHugh, and you're still watching Hoopsville, coming to you live from a hotel in southern Florida. Yeah, a little bit different. I'm down here for work with my Major League Baseball job. Had to get down here for some spring training work. Glad I am. A little tired, but we're still going to bring you Hoopsville because we're in the middle of the NCAA tournaments and there's plenty to talk about. I am quite sure people who are going to be walking by the door are going to wonder what in the world is going on in this hotel room. But for the next few hours, we're talking Division III basketball. Welcome in. Thanks for taking the time. If you got questions for us, email us, hoopsville at d3sports.com. You can join us on our live stream on YouTube. You can also join us on Facebook and Instagram at D3Hoopsville or hashtag Hoopsville or /Hoopsville or however it may be. You find a way to do it and you will interact with you. You can also email us hoopsville at d3sports.com. As I mentioned, we got a lot of good guests coming up today. Forgive me as I'm going to have to cheat and use my notes strictly because it is one of those days where I'm flat out exhausted and I can't remember what order I'm doing next to anything. We will hear from Yeshiva Men's basketball, Elliot Steinmetz, and Zevi Samet, of course, are going to join us on the show to talk about their second weekend appearance in the NCAA tournament and some of the oddities and yet commonalities we see with it. We'll also talk to Brian Morehouse and Anna Richards from Hope Women's Basketball. They got through thanks to an overtime win over Illinois Wesleyan. We'll talk to those two coming up. Also, John Herbrechtsmeyer and Rosalie Penke will join us from Bethel Women's Basketball, the MIAC champs, still playing in the second weekend. First time they've been to the round of 16 since 1999. We'll talk to them about the significance of that. John Krikorian will join us from Christopher Newport and Kendra Whitehead from Hardin Simmons Women's Basketball will join us. So that's all ahead on Hoopsville, along with any questions that you may have. Grayson got a question in early on the YouTube asking about how venues deal with tickets. It's up to each venue, to be honest. There are some who we've known have done just cash only at the door. So no tickets ahead of time. You can't get tickets ahead of time. You got to get them at the door. So that's how they've handled it with cash. Others have sold tickets ahead of time. Some will give the amount to each school that they get and tell them to sell them. Each school does get a certain amount, and if, I don't remember, at some point close to tip-off, if they realize they've got some extra tickets, they sell some general tickets. I don't know how each works because each venue is different, and so each venue may have different circumstances on how they set that all up. Now remember, this coming weekend is different. On the women's side, it's a traditional weekend. So we will have two Sweet 16 round games on Friday, followed by the round of 8 quarterfinals, if you will, on Saturday, just one game at the host institution, those hosts being the obvious hosts that we thought they would be. On the men's side, it is 8 games, 4 on Friday, 4 on Saturday, of single games. Remember, there is no pod this weekend because we got to get ready for round of 8, quarterfinals, and semifinals that will all be played in Fort Wayne next week. The women will be at their championship Final Four and championship next week. And obviously the men 2 weeks after Fort Wayne will be playing for the title in Indianapolis. This is how the setup was in 2020 on the men's side. It did not matriculate past this weekend. It was not the way it was set up in 2013 necessarily because we had to wedge in an extra week. And so we played single round games for 3 weekends, then played the quarterfinals and semifinals, had 2 weeks off, and played the title game on the other side. So that's how that all works. If you've got questions, certainly we'll be happy to answer them if you have them, and we'll get our way through it. It was another outstanding tournament weekend, to say the least. It couldn't have gotten any more exciting. We got some huge surprises, especially on the men's side. Washington and Jefferson coming from behind in the first half to take control on Mount Union in the first half then control Mount Union for much of the game before it was then back and forth for the final quarter. And the Presidents knocked off the Purple Raiders. They couldn't maintain that, did W&J against Christopher Newport, but it was a heck of a first-round upset, to say the least. They weren't the only ones, of course. Yeshiva and Bates had a tremendous game that came down to the end. It was the first game of the entire tournament, and a foul in the closing second in a tie ball game after Bates admittedly, I felt, rushed their final look, but more importantly, Yeshiva rushed it on the other end, giving Bates some time. Bates commits a foul in the closing second, allowed Yeshiva to go to the line, hit 2 free throws for the win with .2 on the clock. Yeshiva then played Maine Farmington, because Maine Farmington knocked off Montclair. How about this? A team most of us were voting number 1 near the end of the regular season loses 3 of their final 4. Unheard of. And Montclair's season ends in the opening round of the tournament to Maine Farmington. Huge upset for Maine Farmington. So those were a couple of the big results on the men's side. Women, interesting enough, the opening round was kind of chalky. Excuse me. I think most of the top 25, if you count receiving votes, 29 wins and 2 losses, and a couple of those are to other top 25 teams. Not a lot of upsets, though it was a great women's opening weekend, to say the least. It was very exciting. And certainly great games were played, but just a little bit more chalky for as deep as women's basketball has gotten in recent times. NYU women, of course, continuing to just dominate. Messiah women got past Cortland. Not really an upset there. Forgive us. We have an AC system that will kick on every once in a while. We can't really control that, but here we are, right? Let's see here. Hardin Simmons won the Texas Pod, getting past Austin 73-51, and Whitman got past Claremont Mudd Scripps a little bit more surprisingly easily than we thought. And then Hardin Simmons, we'll talk about this coming up, controlled Whitman other than one quarter, other than one little spat of the third quarter. Southern Maine did upset Bowdoin in the second round. That was certainly a huge win for Southern Maine over Bowdoin, who had gotten past Emmanuel in a tight game. That was a 51-42 game. Then Southern Maine won 67-59. That was about the only unchalky part of the entire opening weekend. Carroll did lose to La Crosse, though La Crosse is a 3. Carroll's technically a 4 in that pot, and Carroll had to come from behind against DePauw, who had led much of the game at Carroll. Scranton had an easy weekend of it. Bates got past Merchant Marine and then knocked off Smith. They came from behind to beat Smith in overtime. So that was a little bit of an upset if you look at it in some ways. Smith, from the fact that we're so used to seeing Smith make deep runs in the NCAA tournament. This is the first time we haven't seen Smith in the Final Four in several years. But on the flip side of that, they were a 5 seed technically to a 4 seed Bates. So from that perspective, because remember Bates is hosting, that makes some sense. Hopkins got past Hunter easily, then got past Baldwin Wallace, who had knocked off William Patterson, all kind of how we thought it would play out. Concordia Moorhead passed Superior in a bit of a tight game. That was a good game played by Superior. Ripon used overtime to get past River Falls. And then Concordia barely got past Ripon. I thought Ripon played a really good weekend. Oshkosh easily got past Webster, then had a bit of a battle with Wisconsin Lutheran, but got past the Warriors and the Titans playing in that one. Wash U got past Geneseo in a really good game. Ohio Wesleyan got past DeSales. I thought Ohio Wesleyan might pull off the upset, but they ended up falling by 5 to Wash U. Hope Women got past Penn State Barron, easily needed overtime, as we mentioned, against Illinois Wesleyan, who had knocked off W&J. Whitewater, there's a little bit of an upset. Chicago's a 7 seed, did knock off Whitewater. I thought Transylvania actually might knock off Whitewater, and they almost did. They lost to Whitewater by 5. Chicago got past Whitewater somewhat easily, 62-46. W&L got past St. Mary's, 73-44, and then had a dandy of a game against Christopher Newport, who knocked off the Bullets of Gettysburg, and it was 61-55. Believe it or not, Mary Schleichner not double digits in scoring, though double digits in rebounds. She had 11 in that game against Christopher Newport. Bethel, as we mentioned, got past Millsaps and then had a heck of a game against Coe, knocked off Coe. Denison got past Southern Virginia, and then Trine and John Carroll got past SUNY New Paltz. So not a lot of upsets on the women's side, just the way that bracket kind of broke down. Again, coming up, we're going to be talking to Yeshiva men's basketball. Then we'll talk to Hope women's basketball, then Bethel women's basketball, then Christopher Newport men's basketball, and then Hardin Simmons women's basketball. For all of you who are keeping score at home, that's how it's all going to play out here. In just a few minutes, we'll jump on that. So if you got questions for us, ask them away. Phil says, howdy, Dave. Love the new studio location. Yeah, a little bit different. By the way, should point out we're wearing, you can barely see it with the banner. We'll try and show it off a little bit more. Misericordia shirt. I know Misericordia is not in the tournament, but they were so kind to send us a polo that I thought easy way to kind of bring us the Hoopsville studios a little bit here in the hotel room would be to wear a Misericordia jersey shirt. Maybe we'll push the camera back a little bit and lower the angle so we can see the shirt a little bit better throughout the show. But thank you to Misericordia, who sent a jersey and a polo for us to wear when we can, and so we are wearing it today. A reminder, Thursday's show will also come from these Hoopsville studios on the road, as it were, on Saturday. We're glad that the internet's holding up. We're not airing the show in its highest quality like we normally do. We've knocked it down a little bit so we can deal with some low internet speeds. And we're hoping that the next big test of this show is when we actually do go to Zoom and bring those callers in on the broadcast, how things will then be impacted. But we're hopeful and looking forward to it. So knock on wood, but this South Florida version of Hoopsville, not to be confused with what my retirement plans will be with this Hoopsville show. I don't ever envision myself moving to Florida, mainly for other family reasons, but mainly in particular, I can't imagine this being my Hoopsville studios in the future at that juncture. If I am still doing Hoopsville at age 70, someone check on me, see if I'm okay. Please. It might be a little concerning because most of the players who are playing now will probably have retired from coaching by that juncture. I'm just saying. So lots of questions. If you got them, fire away. We'd love to hear from you. Answer them either on Twitter, email, or wherever. I will do my best in a non-normal setup here to be constantly checking all the sources I can to make sure we're answering your questions. We quickly went through the women's bracket quickly, and the men's, if you didn't know, Trinity men's basketball. We nearly saw the defending champs go out twice this weekend. Twice. Keuka had them on the ropes for much of that game. And Keuka, if Keuka were more familiar with playing in the NCAA tournament, I think they knock off Trinity. They kind of puckered up a little bit at the end. And more importantly, I think they tried to do a little bit of a hero ball. And if they had stuck with what was working, they might have knocked off Trinity. Trinity went on a great run, but even when it got tight, I thought Keuka had a chance. That would have been one of the biggest upsets in Division III men's basketball history, dating back to my alma mater knocking off Lebanon Valley in the opening round. Hats off to Keuka, almost pulled it off. Trinity survived, and then Trinity had to do the same darn thing against Babson. Had to come from behind in the second half to knock off Babson. Redlands had a dominating game against Susquehanna and then had a battle with Hood. That game lived up to expectations, 114-104. Redlands got from behind. Now, interesting enough, Eric Bridgeland put a tweet out on Sunday noting, I think it was Sunday or it was late Saturday. Let's see, I was seeing it here, so it was Sunday, talking about the fact that 7 of the 8 hosts in Division III men's basketball ended up winning. Yes, they did. And he made a comment, I don't know where, maybe not, but the idea that Redlands should have been hosting. Remember, this is Eric, love him well, and I've said this to him already. Same program that said they don't mind traveling and they embrace the idea of traveling in the NCAA tournament. It took a number of us hours before we realized Redlands could have hosted with the same number of flights and Claremont Mudd Scripps could have been on the road for this tournament. We get that. We get that Redlands was on the East Coast. The only thing I was disappointed with was Redlands was on the East Coast again, and also disappointed in the fact that they played the first game, not counting the Yeshiva game, the first game of the tournament of the normal schedule. I don't know if I would have done that to Redlands, having them play essentially a 12:30 game in their minds. But they had a good game against Hood, and they played from behind. I don't think playing on the road was the problem there. Yes, Hood had a great environment, but you got to win somewhere to get to the Elite Eight. So unfortunate for Redlands to fall short. Catholic defeated Western Connecticut. WestCon nearly came back and defeated Catholic in that game. Tufts got past Penn State Harrisburg, and then Tufts got past Catholic a little bit easier than I expected. NYU men got past Gettysburg. A little disappointed in the Bullets, but NYU played extremely well. I was a little disappointed in the broadcaster, to be honest, in that game. Wesleyan got past Lehman, and then Wesleyan got past NYU. Mary Washington worked through their weekend rather easily. Amherst did give them a bit of a game early on, then it wasn't a game. Amherst beat WPI. Kind of saw that coming. Good win for that program. Great win for that Mammoth program, to be honest with you. They needed that. Claremont Mudscripts got past Aurora in a really good game that Aurora faded in at the end. La Crosse got past Hope, and then La Crosse knocked off Claremont Mudscripts. A little disappointed there, to be honest. Mary Hardin Baylor got the win over Stevens Point, which many of us expected, but could not get past the Gusties. Gusties won that one 90-72, Gustavus Adolphus. That is, Platteville got knocked off by Otterbein. Again, I don't think some of us were surprised by that. Chicago got past Penn State Barron, and then Chicago easily got past Otterbein. Lower right-hand corner, to make it easier for myself, Randolph-Macon easily passed North Carolina Wesleyan. TCNJ knocked off Johns Hopkins on essentially a buzzer beater. There was 1 second left to go in the game. And then Randolph-Macon easily dispatched TCNJ. W&J, as we point out, knocked off Mount Union. Christopher Newport knocked off Stevens. And then Christopher Newport got past probably a tired W&J team, to be honest with you. Whitewater got past Loris. Wash U got past Transylvania. And then Wash U had a real good game against Whitewater. And Wash U was still dancing after a lot of us had them for dead middle of the UAA schedule, and they just couldn't catch a win to save themselves. St. Thomas, Texas got past Belhaven in overtime. Belhaven nearly pulled off the upset. And then they played Trinity, Texas. Trinity, Texas probably didn't want to see St. Thomas. And they probably still don't want to see St. Thomas, because St. Thomas got past Trinity, Texas a third time. Or is it a fourth time this season, now that I think about it? Quickly, Cortland pulled off technically the upset on Franklin and Marshall. No surprise to me. Faced Endicott. Endicott got the win over Cortland. We're going to come back to that in just a moment. John Carroll defeated Grinnell. A little surprised there. I thought Grinnell, this was their year. Illinois Wesleyan got past Heidelberg, and then Illinois Wesleyan knocked off John Carroll somewhat easily. Yeshiva, who we'll talk to shortly, knocked off Bates, as we talked about, in a barn burner, then got past Maine Farmington. Emory got past a upset-minded W, and Roanoke had a dandy of a game against Rhodes and won. And then Roanoke and Emory couldn't score in the final 4 minutes of the game. Roanoke went 4.5 minutes at the end of the game, didn't score. Emory went 4 minutes without scoring. I thought the scoreboard was broken on the broadcast. They went to overtime. They finally found the baskets, and I feel so badly for my friend Clay Nunley. They couldn't pull off the upset on Emory, so now Yeshiva will go to Emory. Quick note, some of you might be wondering why Endicott's not hosting Illinois Wesleyan, even though the higher seed. As we understand it, Endicott did not put in a host. It may have been an oversight. It may have simply been an oversight. Someone didn't click on something. Could be all it came down to. That's not based on anybody telling me anything. It's stuff we're all putting together. So I feel bad. I was going to take a break, and I just remembered I didn't load my breaks. So we're going to take a pause. It's going to be a non-break break. We're going to set up our next guest, and Yeshiva is going to join us to talk about their season. So bear with us. What we're going to do is we're going to call this a Hoopsville Break. You're going to get our buymeacoffee.com information. Go on there, help us out, become a member, support our work. Either make a donation through buymeacoffee.com or become a Hoopsville member and sign up for a monthly donation. You get some perks for that. This is going to be a Hoopsville Break on buymeacoffee.com. We'll be back with Yeshiva Men's Basketball coming up. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. By the way, the audio might sound a little weird. I brought a nice special microphone and everything, and cables and everything. It doesn't want to work. So we're just using the ambient microphone. Hope you're enjoying the show. I'm your host, Dave McHugh. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. Hope you enjoy Hoopsville on the road, a little bit different. Going to get right into our guests because we've already wasted enough of their time, them sitting there waiting for me to stop yammering. Yeshiva Men's basketball is once again in the NCAA tournament second weekend. For them, that means a trip to Emory this time. Coincidentally enough, last time they were in this position, it was the same format as this tournament where you get a single game to focus on this coming weekend. I wonder if that's going to be an advantage. Well, joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about it is their head coach, Elliot Steinmetz, who hasn't changed a bit. Elliot is still with us from all those times ago, but he's gone through a few players, and now his senior stud is Zevi Samet, who joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Gentlemen, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. Hope all is well.
Thanks, Dave.
Let's start first and foremost on the season, Elliot. A lot of high expectations. You guys went out there and decided we're going to play everybody and everybody outside of conference play. If you had talked to me about midway through the season, I would have said this feels a little bit like a fool's errand. How's it now feel?
It accomplished the goal I wanted it to. We would have loved to have won a few of those games and maybe been hosting or been a higher seed. But at the end of the day, we're still playing, and I think a big part of it is the way we tested ourselves and the opportunity we had. The way I looked at it is, if we play that schedule, we either win some games and we're in a really, really good spot going into the tournament, or we lose some games and we get exposed and we learn what our faults are and our we learn how we need to get better in order to compete at that level. It's a little bit harder on our locker room. It's a little bit more frustrating, obviously, to go that latter route. But, thankfully we have leaders like Zevi and his co-captain, Max Zackheim, who, kept our locker room in the right frame of mind and pushed us towards a really, really good conference season.
Yeah, Zevi, to that point, how tough is it? You guys go out there and you really challenge the heck out of each other, and you had some close ones, as we all know. We don't need to revisit them, but that can really kind of get to be a point of a drag. Or are we going to win outside of conference? How did you guys all focus on it as players?
For sure. I think the hardest part is that we were seniors. It wasn't that, we were freshmen or sophomores and we're saying, maybe next year we'll get these teams. It's like we're senior year and we came in the season saying we're going to beat these teams. And then you come and the way we lost them, it's very easy to put ourselves down. But together with me and together with Max, Zackheim was just really good at putting us together and say, listen, we are so much better than our record shows, and it's our job to believe in ourselves. It's our job to keep staying strong, and we recognized that. And it was really hard. It was hard to go to practice knowing that it's a whole different feeling, losing these games, but not losing these top games because they outplayed us, but we outplayed ourselves and we beat ourselves. And I think it was really hard, but to realize that basketball is, you got to have a short-term memory. You got to move past it and you got to learn from it. And we learned so much from every game that we lost like that in many, many different ways, to where we changed a lot of things in our offense and our defense to get to where we are today.
You guys rolled right through conference play, going 16-0, then went and won the conference. And, of course, you knew you had to go win the conference to punch your ticket into the tournament to a larger degree. Zevi, did that conference play allow you guys to kind of build some of that confidence back?
Yeah, I think for sure. We definitely, to go 19-0, really 16-0 before playoffs is really big for us. But then to recognize that we were, neck and neck with all these big teams that were ready to come into the tournament and, now go compete on the national level. We weren't scared. We were ready every step of the way. And the conference for sure did. It made us feel like, because at the end of the day, basketball is defined by winning and losing. So you can learn and grow so much, but if you just lose and lose and lose, you're not in the tournament. So definitely for sure, but it was a big conference booster for us.
Elliot, this can flip both ways. You can have a scenario where you're losing these games and it's tough to keep the team kind of focused and understood on what's going on. But then on the flip side of that, you get a team that gets overconfident because you're rolling through conference play without too many challenges. How do you balance that and then get the guys kind of come back to ground a little bit to understand, hey, no, we're dealing with some challenges here in the out of conference. In conference might look easy. You can't be on both sides of this.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think conference play was so easy. Obviously, I think our conference, takes a lot of flack, and it's a lot better than people think, especially at the top. Seeing a lot of the teams in the tournament, there's no doubt in my mind that Farmingdale was one of the teams that belonged in that tournament. And I know the math says otherwise, and the computer system works a certain way. That team was really, really good. I think they lost 4 games all year, something like that, and 2 of them were to us, and a very, very close championship game that could have gone either way. So it was, hard to see not having 2 Skyline teams in there this year, which would have been nice. For us, in terms of, having an overconfidence issue, all we had to do was point to our non-conference season. That's all we had to do was rely on that and point back to that and say to the guys, you're 1-8. Like that's the bottom line. You were 1-8 out of conference. So, you got to keep competing in conference every single game, recognizing that if you don't play 40 minutes, you know exactly what it's like to get beat when you don't play 40 minutes. We played Tufts earlier in the season, and we probably played 32 of the best minutes we've played all year. It wasn't enough. They're a top 5 team in the country, and 32 minutes wasn't enough. So it was an easy reminder for us, throughout the course of the year on how important it is to compete for 40 minutes and to continue to just get better and better.
I obviously hitting 600 things here. Don't know what we're hitting. My Zoom works differently here on the road than it does at home. Obviously, you go into the NCAA tournament. You're conference champs. You're riding this huge winning streak in conference tournament play, and you're not going to go too far. You're going over to Montclair. It's not as far as Johns Hopkins as it was in 2013. The fan base is excited. Expectations are high, and you got a Bates team on the other side of that. You mentioned some of the teams. You lost to Wesleyan, you lost to others. You know what you're going to face, Elliot. How'd you guys prepare for that game, and did it play out kind of how you expected?
It did. I mean, other than obviously Max getting hurt in that game, it kind of played out how we expected. They're an SCAC team, obviously, really, really strong conference. We expected it to be a physical game. We expected them to be able to shoot the ball the way they did, and we knew we were up for a big test. And like you said, we had a little bit of confidence because we played teams like that. We hadn't necessarily had a ton of success, but we knew we could compete. And we spent the week preparing, and they were everything we expected them to be. They were extremely physical. They were really, really good defensively. They took us off of our, took us off our spots pretty well on screens. I don't think we executed really well offensively, and a lot of that had to do with them. And on the other side, they're shot makers. They're a really, really good catch and shoot team. I thought we did a really good job, trying to make them go off the dribble a little bit. And, in that regard, our defense has really kind of stepped up here in the tournament and in conference play and put us in a position to win games. And then obviously, Zevi, took the opportunity in that first half to kind of give us a little bit of a cushion with his playmaking. So it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, he played very well in that game. 27 points, Zevi. What was your mentality at given points in that game? Because it felt like there were times they were focused on you. There were times you got advantages on them, but you need your teammates too. So what was the yin and the yang in that game?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think it's one of the biggest things that we've grown tremendously this year is we play for each other. We do we before me, and we just look to get the person the best shot. And guys realized that I was getting mismatches, I was getting hot, so guys were like, all right, we're going to keep feeding you. And then when they started keying on me a little bit more, it was my job to now say, hey, I'm going to drive and kick, I'm going to drive and pass one more, or I'm going to get somebody else the ball. And now the defense, it's like, how do you guard that? And then when they start making it, now teams have to come off me a little bit, and now it comes right back to me towards the end of the game. So the mentality is just keep playing hard, keep knowing what I'm capable of, but trying not to do too much all at once.
Comes down to the end, and Elliot, I'll admit, when you guys took the shot with about 10 seconds left, I went, uh-oh. It felt that was kind of where I was headed. What was the plan there?
No, the plan was obviously to try to get the last shot there. I'm a big believer in trusting our guys. It is what won us the Skyline last year, right? Zevi came down and made a shot that he misses that shot. It's a pretty bad shot, even though we were down. Different situation, obviously. Tie game like this, we want to get it down to the end. Zevi obviously felt it and and went for it, and it didn't work out that way. We got a little bit lucky on the other side with Max making a couple of defensive plays, and then of course the controversial, so to speak, call where he got pushed out of bounds, ends up making a couple of foul shots. Like I said, I've gone 12 years where I've been on the other side of that call. I'm very happy to be on this side of it for once. But it was it was not how it was planned, obviously, but it's it all worked out well in the end. And frankly, if anybody's going to take that shot with 10 seconds left, might as well be this guy.
Yeah, fair. Absolutely. Zevi, what was your thinking in that moment?
Yeah, for sure. So, the coaches, Elliot, Coach Steinmetz came over to me after the game, like later that night. He's like, "Do you know what the problem was with you taking that shot?" I'm like, "I think so." I'm like, "Maybe if I watch basketball a little bit more, I would know." I think for me as a basketball player, and it's something, I chose to do a little bit, that I don't spend so much time watching the NBA in college. Spend a lot of time learning, Jewish subjects, and I put the work in. But like, I don't remember being here in 4 years having an opportunity at the end of the game to take a game-winning shot. It was always been that we were down. So I think in my mind a little bit was, oh, they gave me a foot of space. I didn't get this amount of space the whole game and this whole second half. And if I pass it, like in my mind, it's like, oh, I have a quick foot of space. I'm just gonna shoot it. The second I shot the ball, I'm like, now they have 7 seconds to come down the court. I don't know why I did that, but at the end of the day, I thought in my mind it's going in. So, I shot it, but something you have to be aware about, and it's something that, again, I've never been on that side where it was tie game and say, I'm going to take that last shot. I was just, every time we're down, and I just got to take these quick shots and tough shots. But you live and you learn. Even as a senior, I'm not ready to give up playing. I want to keep playing professionally, and it's something that I'll have for the rest of my life, to know that when there's that amount of time left and it's tie game, you hold for one.
I appreciate that insight. It's refreshing to actually hear someone kind of talk us through that and understand. Yeah, maybe you don't have as much experience in that moment. Now you do, obviously. I'm curious, Max, Zevi, you or Elliot, does anybody go up to Max and talk to him as he goes to the free throw line for those 2 free throws with 0.2 on the clock? Does anything need to be said?
I mean, certainly one of the Bates players did, but I'm pretty sure our guys were talking to him in the huddle. Max is, and then Zevi could attest to this. He was trying to miss the second one, but those 2 foul shots
I noticed.
are in. Yeah, those 2 foul shots are in before he takes them. Like that guy's in the gym every single day. He's like a 90% foul shooter. He lives for that moment. We had no doubt. We were just trying to figure out and make sure there was not going to be enough time for them to catch and shoot.
Yeah. Luckily with 0.2, it was going to take even more, but it did look like he was intending to miss when I was watching that. Moving on, you had the unexpected team in Maine Farmington on the other side, which we joked about. Same thing happened in 2013. Johns Hopkins got knocked off in the second game, and suddenly you're not playing the host. Elliot, talk us a little bit through of exactly when you learned this, because as we all know, first off, there was more time, I think, until Montclair played. So you guys were definitely back. Whereas I think in the Hopkins game, that game may have been a little bit closer. You may have known the results sooner. But how did you guys find out with everything that you have to do religiously as an organization, as a group, as a team, as a school, etc.? How does that all play out?
Yeah, so it actually, I think the opposite. I think Hopkins, we didn't know until later on that night. We had an assistant coach back then, Mike Sweeten, who actually was watching the game, so that was helpful.
Right.
We were able to find out what happened in that game a number of years ago. With the Montclair State and Maine Farmington game, it actually started before Sabbath started, so we were able to kind of catch a little bit of the first half, which doesn't really help considering it was a close game going into halftime. But they were staying in our hotel. So we were able to find out obviously when they got back, and figure it out that way. So it wasn't such a surprise for us. Although they're a really good team. I don't think we were necessarily shocked at the result as much. Certainly a surprise, and it's a big upset. And Montclair, Coach Potts does an awesome job there, and they're a really, really great program. So it's certainly a big upset and a surprise. But looking at what Maine Farmington's done this year, and having seen them play obviously on film a little bit. They're an impressive group. They have some kids who can really score. They have a couple of guys with massive motors who could really rebound the ball. So, it was really just a function if they could handle that press. If they could handle that press, they certainly could score enough points to kind of stay with Montclair State. And it seems that, obviously that was the case.
Zevi, how'd that game play out? Because much like Montclair, Maine Farmington came to play.
Sure. I mean, it was cool. Like I was speaking to one of the players during the game, and I was telling him, I'm like, we saw you in the lobby, and you saw us like on like the second floor, like us wearing our suits and stuff. I was like, do you have any idea what was going on? He's like, I think I saw a lot of pizza or something. I'm like, you got it all wrong. And I was just like explaining to him a little bit during the game, like how it works for us, and like
Wow.
they knew we were playing them, but because they were in there and they were in the front lobby staring up at us, But I didn't look at the scout till Saturday night, till I'm on the bus heading to the game. So, it was more we were just in the locker room and the coach just sit down and says, "Okay, we're going through scout right now." And there wasn't that much preparation. And Elliot and Coach Thomas came in the locker room at halftime and said, for not looking and doing so much film at all on this team, I thought we did a really good job. And I think it was just cool to realize that at the end of the day, you can do as much film as you want. But I thought we were just really disciplined and we defended and we played together. And sometimes that outbeats, whatever you watch on the film.
Teaching some kids from Maine all about your background and what you all do in game. That takes on a whole nother level of multi-talented student athlete there, Zevi. Speaking of which, we'll get to that in a minute. I got to let you guys get going here. I know you've got more on your plate, but you do have Emory ahead. This trip is south like it was in 2013, Elliot, but it's not on a bus. It'll be on a plane. How are you guys getting ready? I know it's early in the process, but what's the plan? How are you getting ready? What do you expect? It'll be another early game, obviously, on Friday for you all.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Emory's really, really good. They've been number one in the country this year. I think they're currently number two. They got a lot of guys who can score the basketball, that's for sure. And it's going to be a lot of fun preparing. We've already started digging into film, obviously, setting up our scout. We'll practice tomorrow and Wednesday at Yeshiva, and then we'll head down there on Thursday morning and get a practice, obviously, at Emory and Thursday afternoon at some point. And hopefully we'll have an opportunity to really dig in and prepare and get our guys ready. The format this year helps that a little bit. We're only preparing for one game, so it allows us to really focus on them. But Coach Zimmerman does a really good job down there, and those guys they can really go. So it should be a big test, and hopefully our scheduling early in the year helps us here a little bit.
Is there any pressure to get this as a win and break through, as it were, and force some interesting scheduling in Fort Wayne the next weekend?
Yeah, I mean, of course, we're not going down there just to play. We're going down there to win a basketball game. That's kind of why we play the season. We're chasing the national championship like the other 16, like the other 15 teams are, and we feel we're capable. And I get that our computer numbers say one thing, but we don't really care what the computer says. We respect our opponent. We recognize that they're at the top of the charts for a reason, but we're going down there expecting to win game.
Zevi, there's been a lot of really good players in recent years that have gone through Yeshiva, and some are playing pro and figuring out how to be able to do that with everything that entails. I mean, obviously Ryan Terrell is kind of the lead case and all that. But when I talk about you to other people, especially close to the program, they talk about different focuses, and you already hinted at them on this interview. What are you hoping to do when this all comes to a close, whenever it comes to a close?
Great question. I think obviously, I am where I am today because of God, but I put a lot of work into this. It's not that, like a lot of people, like Max will always tell me, a lot of fans will see the shots I take and they're like, wow, like it's so cool you chuck up the shots and it goes in. And Max is like, no one sees you in the gym every day making these shots, taking these shots. And I put a lot of effort into this, and at the same time to realize and never get carried away of what my priorities are and what my goal in life is. My goal in life is to be a messenger of God and just bring light into this world, whether Jewish, non-Jewish. There's so much darkness here. There's so many things that are going on that people just need to be inspired. And I'm just trying my best to be the best version of myself. And if it could get spread to others and inspire other people, I'll take it. And the message and the thing I want to continue with life is I want to try to continue balling, continue practicing my Judaism, continue learning and studying, because the bigger I fill up my own cup, I can give over to other people. And I never want to stop inspiring people. to realize that everyone has a gift. And I know and try my best to keep maximizing and understanding my gift so I can give over to the rest of the world.
Okay. Well, on that note, I don't think we need to do run on the rest of the show. I mean, Zevi just kind of wrapped it up, and all the guests might as well just hang up now because I don't know if we're going to get any better than that. Elliot, do you ever get players who are selfish?
Do we ever get players? We don't get a lot of them, and if they come in and they're like that, they learn pretty fast. So you know, when you have guys like this and guys like Max, guys like Ryan and Gabe that we had in the past, those kind of guys who are, you know, your best players and leaders, and they're the most selfless guys that you could, you know, bring in. Everybody learns pretty fast that's kind of not just the best way to win, but really the best way to succeed in life. And it's been definitely a really, really good part of our culture.
Well, I'm very impressed. As always, very impressed. I'm glad we got a chance to chat about it. Congratulations on the opening weekend. Good luck down in Atlanta against Emory. Maybe we'll be talking again in the near future when we get ready for Fort Wayne. But nonetheless, congratulations on the season that you guys have all had and what you've continued to do for the Yeshiva program. Obviously, it's been a lot of hard work, Elliot, as you and I have talked about in the past. Elliot knows this is a tradition, so we'll let him start with this, Zevi, but you're going to have to answer too. We always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in tonight?
Yeah, sure. So you want me to go first?
Sure. We'll let Zevi off easy by going second.
This way he has a chance to think it through. I knew it was coming. I'll share the same message. First of all, I always like to thank you for what you do, and you know, I know there's a number of guys who do really a lot for putting D3 hoops out there and making sure that people know about it, and you're, you know, kind of the godfather of that. So, you know, we appreciate it. I'll shout out your next guest, Coach Morehouse, one of my favorite people and one of the best coaches in college basketball. I'm excited to listen to him in a few minutes. But what I'd like to do is talk about, you know, I made a post on social media, yesterday. You know, we're obviously playing in a basketball game on Friday, and a lot of people are excited about it. I'm choosing to try to use that attention that we're getting to shed light on the fact that my best friend from growing up is sitting in a bomb shelter going in and out about 11 times a day right now with missiles coming over from Iran into Israel. Indiscriminate firing of rockets at civilians by both Hezbollah and Iran, and people of Israel have been under attack for many, many years for no other reason other than being a Jewish state. And I throw out there that if you're sitting around and have nothing to do for a few minutes, say a prayer for them, have them in your thoughts, and they are fighting the battle of good versus evil for a lot of us, and very, very happy that the United States has kind of stepped up and that our country has chosen the side of good in this battle, and our thoughts and prayers are of course with all of our brothers and sisters there.
Zevi,
Not much
you have to follow that.
Be hard to do, but I said in the locker room before the game, I said, guys, this was our conference championship game. This was like right as the war broke out, and one of our coaches came over to me and said, Zevi, I spoke to a lot of people in Israel, and they all said they're going to watch the game. And I told the guys in the locker room, I said, we're playing for Yeshiva. The Yeshiva is not just a basketball team. We represent the Jewish people. The amount of people that heard about us right now, more than ever before, because of where we are at and because of the Sweet 16, has been tremendous. And I would just tell the guys over and over again, it's our job to use that platform to inspire everybody around us. It's our job to realize that there is so much darkness in this world, and that if a person who's stuck in a bomb shelter, our people, can watch this and have some joy from it, and it can enlighten their kids. The kids have nothing to do all day, there's no service in there, then great, So I think it's really cool and really special to have that platform and to be a part of that. But I think the message to everybody watching is I remember my rabbi, one of my teachers, my mentors, said over this quote, he said, anything worth anything requires hard work. So you want to go achieve your dreams, realize it requires a lot of hard work, and to recognize that if you are playing basketball or whatever case you might be in life, whatever platform you have that platform for a reason. If God chose you to be, it's like there's a famous quote that said that God never doesn't create copies, he only creates originals. If God doesn't need you, you won't be here anymore. So whatever you're doing in life, try to find something that you can give over to others and inspire people. This world is broken. So many people, and there's someone, every person's going through something you know nothing about, and it's our job to show a smile, be there for somebody else, just enlighten the world.
Well said, gentlemen. Thank you very much for your insight and your thoughts. Good luck again this week. Look forward to catching up with you down the road. And if we don't sooner than later, at least good luck in your future endeavors, and we'll catch up sometime down the road. Take care, guys. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dave.
Elliot Steinmetz and Zevi Samet joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline from Yeshiva. Again, big matchup for them coming up against Emory, the number 2 team. But again, you could argue every game's been a big matchup this season for Yeshiva. If there's any team that's ready for it, it is certainly them. Looking forward to that game coming up on Friday. We'll take another Hoopsville break. Again, no ads. We're just going to run our Buy Me a Coffee campaign. We'll get Hope Women's Basketball on tap. I did a weird thing in my scheduling today. You'll get it if you get it. Talk to you soon with Hope Women's Basketball. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Yeah, it's our buymeacoffee.com ad breaks because I forgot to load my ad breaks. Even though I have access to them, I just forgot to load them. Again, go to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Sign up for a membership. Help us continue our work here. We're coming from the unofficial WBCA studios in Fort Myers, Florida. Thanks to, as always, to the Women's Basketball Coaches Association for their assistance. We are hoping this is not our retirement look in the future. I'm not joking. I do not want this to be the future Hoopsville. We like the studios we built. We're pivoting in the most odd way that I did not think through, but mainly because of schedules. We're going from Yeshiva to Hope. We are going from a rather strong sect of Jewish religion to an interesting sect of Christianity. with really good basketball teams and really good coaches who are still playing in the NCAA tournament in the round of 16. I couldn't have done this if I tried. I used to get paid big money, money, to try to make segues like that, and I couldn't have done it if I tried. But we're doing it today with the women's basketball program at the pre-mentioned Hope, who continue to impress and get to the second weekend with an overtime win this time against Illinois Wesleyan to do it. Joining us on the Hoopsville Hotline, it's the head coach of the women's program, who's now got 400 wins. Hello, Mr. Brian Morehouse, and Anna Richards, the sophomore that is joining us to talk about the program. Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Brian, I will admit, this is first off, the first time I think I've talked to you in the NCAA tournament where I haven't talked to you during the regular season. I felt like this was one of those odd seasons where you were a little off the radar, even if you were a top 10 team. Is that a fair way of kind of going about it?
Come on, Dave. We were way off the radar. I mean, if you look at where we started this year, I don't even know if we were ranked by some people. At times it felt like you watched Landman. You ever watched that?
Yeah.
Okay. So stick with me here.
Okay.
His son kind of wildcats
Yes.
a bunch of things and kind of comes out of nowhere, takes a couple chances, and next thing you know, I mean, he's striking oil all over the place, right? I kind of liken that to our season. I don't think people saw this coming. We were really young. We lost our top two scorers. In the Tulip City, we're expected to win a lot of games, but I think that people, even in our hometown, underestimated us a little bit this year. And I think the really cool thing is, like, we won the national championship in 2022 with a certain style of play. We shot an incredible number of threes, got the ball to the rim a lot, and didn't do much in between. One with our defense and one with depth, 5 in, 5 out. It's hockey subs. And, when we didn't make it last year by 2 slots in the NPI, which is a whole nother thing, but it was a good reality check for us that we needed to make some changes and we needed to make some adjustments. And, we needed to coach this version of this team and not coach the 2022 team. So we changed our offense. We changed our defense to become multiple. We didn't go 5 in, 5 out. Anna played 42 minutes the other night in a game, which is unheard of. I think that's the most Hope College players ever played. And, I think, to liken it back to the Landman thing, like sometimes you got to change to strike gold, to hit the oil. And I think that we did that this year. I love this team. I mean, they are incredibly smart. They've improved all year long. We're really young, which is a good thing. I think it helps us because sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And I think that happened a little bit last weekend where, I've had teams go out in that first round game and they're super tight. And we come out and, we're just flying. we scored. I think we scored on our 7 of our first 8 possessions and knocked down threes and just playing in flow. And, it's just been fun, and it's been a fun group to coach. And I'm blessed to have the players that we have. We have a really, really strong group of kids, but I think that our culture is even better than our talent. And I think that really starts with our senior leadership. I have one of the strongest captain groups I've ever had. And Anna will be one of those captains one day, but she's taking notes, I hope, this year because we've got really great leadership from our players.
Anna, just for the record, he says he loves every team. I think he's required to, or you all might do something to him in the locker room that's uncool. Anna, I'm curious. This is a unique perspective because, yes, missed out on the tournament last year. This year kind of flew off the radar a little bit for some. Kind of came in a little quietly, admittedly. Even Trine had your number at one point in conference play. What's it like as a sophomore to be playing for a program has got such a rich history and to go through what you now have gone through in these 2 seasons up to this point?
Yeah, I think, it's all new to me. I think even this year, it's the first time playing in the NCAA tournament, but it's all been really fun. And I think I learned a lot last year. I think we were all disappointed to not make the tournament. And I think even coming in, knowing the history of the teams and history of the program of making the tournament, you always want to do that. So I think coming in this year, being able to do that, being able to compete in conference and to win the tournament, the conference tournament was a huge accomplishment for this team. And I think it motivated us for this postseason. And obviously this last weekend was a good first weekend. And there's obviously some nerves, but just so much excitement knowing that we made it and that we're continuing to compete.
Yeah, Brian, some of the interesting thing I took from this, and it kind of made my eyes open a little bit wider, actually goes back to the try and win in the conference championship. Again, we talk about that result earlier in the season where Trine kind of seemingly had your number easily. And I went, okay, this is a Hope team that's still kind of figuring things out. And then you kind of just reversed it on them in that conference championship at their place. Was that kind of the early sign of what was to come in that next weekend? And we'll talk about the tournament too, of this team's evolution, as it were.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we lost to them at Trine on January 7th. I remember the date. But it was really close, and it was a great game. And they knocked down 2 threes. We ended up losing by 6 on their home floor. But it was a great game between two, probably top 15 teams in the country if you look back on it now. And we learned a lot from that game. Our young players learned a lot. I think as coaches, we learned a lot. And then, they got us when we came here. But I think we learned more again. And I think that's been really the cool thing about this year is that we haven't plateaued. The learning curve has continued to just be one where our players have really lived into it. And instead of throwing their hands up in the air and being frustrated, I see them like look around and go, hey, what did I learn from that last rep? And, we even talked about that today in practice. A couple of players, something didn't happen that they wanted it to. And I said, okay, what did you learn from that? And what would you do differently on your next rep? And I just love the growth mindset of this group. Anna has been great. I mean, one of the best freshmen in the country last year. And yet she went home and got a lot better this summer. But then the cool thing for me is that since last September, she's been in the gym every day. And she's worked on like different things as teams adjust their defense. She's learned to adjust her style of play. And for a sophomore, that's a really cool thing.
Not to harp on the Trime thing, but just as a comparison, you lose to them, as you said, at your place, 89-58. And then a week later, Anna, you guys get the win 76-62 at their place. So you take a 31-point deficit on your home floor, which has all kinds of its own ramifications, and turn it into a 14-point win in the conference title game at your place. Tell me about that turnaround and what that has meant.
Yeah, we obviously knew it was a big game for the conference tournament, but I think we really focused on the defensive end, and we knew we had to rebound, get stops. We knew there were shooters. We've played them enough times to know their personnel and who can score, who can shoot the three well. And I think we really focused on that, but then also just playing our game, playing together, finding the open person, not relying too much on the threes. We knew they doubled in the post, so kicking it out, like giving what they gave us, I think was a really big key to that game, and just staying composed throughout the whole game. Taryn had a great game handling the ball, and I think she really led us in that area. And then we all just focused on getting rebounds, pushing, doing what we can do to win that game.
Surprisingly, despite the results we were just talking about, you still are outscoring your opponents by 21 plus points a game. Like, you're dominating. And obviously the Penn State Barron game was a testament to that. You absolutely controlled that game from start to finish, Brian. And then you had Illinois Wesleyan on the other side. And you've had your histories with Illinois Wesleyan over the years. Second round game on your floor and it goes overtime. I mean, this is what D3 storybooks are written of. Tell me a little bit about the weekend.
Well, again, I don't want to get too far into the NPI stuff, and I'm certainly not going to bash the NCAA, but that game shouldn't have been played, in my humble opinion. Those two teams should have met further down in the tournament bracket, if we're being perfectly honest. But we've had a great history with Illinois Wesleyan. I think in the year that things got canceled, we won one of the greatest games ever in our gym when they got sent to us again. We were undefeated. That's kind of where Elliot Steinmetz and I got our relationship going. Is they had this huge winning streak going. We had this huge winning streak going. And but we talked a little bit about that. But I think for us, they're a really tough matchup. They got two All-American guards, in my opinion. I mean, I think Sawyer White, most improved player over 4 years in the country. Sawyer White in the country, and then Ava Bardick, definitely an All-American, and they're a tough matchup. I mean, I think we're pretty good defensively, and they're really hard to guard with what they do. So, I think we put. I think Anna did a great job on Saturday, and really got going offensively, got us out to a 12-3 lead. And Anna was a big part of that with her aggressiveness, but also her defense. She was in charge of trying to slow down Ava Bardick, and I thought she did a really good job in the first quarter. And then it just became, one of those games that goes back and forth, back and forth. We're down 6 with, a minute and a half to go, and we walk into the huddle, and our senior captain Lauren Leach, she said, "Guys, we do this every day in our games to 4. You just have to win 2 straight games to 4 right now in the last minute and a half." She goes, "We do this every day." And I thought that was really calming for our team, because instead of like trying to overcome a 6-point deficit, we were just trying to win a little short 4-minute, 4-point game in the next 45 seconds. And that's exactly how it played out. We got it to tied. And then we held on in the last 30 seconds when they had, 4 shots at the rim, and sent it to overtime and played really well.
Yeah, played well, to say the least. Anna, what was that game like? And obviously your first weekend of NCAA tournament play, of course, also at DeVos, which has its own atmosphere, as it were, in a normal day, add in the NCAA, and it adds it a whole nother level. What was the weekend like from your perspective?
Yeah, I mean, it was a crazy atmosphere on Saturday. The fans were really loud from both teams, and I think that added to it. But I mean, coming out, we got a lead at the beginning of the half and came into half, I think, up 5, but then they obviously went on that run in the second half. So I think, like you said, during that timeout, like just being able to stay calm, I think we kind of got on ourselves about not, we kind of did that to ourselves with not the rebounding and not pushing the ball and that kind of stuff. So I think we had to gather and realize what has got us that far, and that's playing together, rebounding, boxing out, not letting them go middle, all those things. So I think just coming back to that, and even in overtime, really focusing on that gave us the win.
Obviously, now you get ready, Brian, to be on the road. You guys have got to go to one of the top programs in this year's season, and Oshkosh, and a coach who I think somewhat similar to you in terms of the mentality they brings to the table, and a team that with its mentality. But that's if you can get through Chicago. You're playing a UAA team that's seemingly pretty darn good. What's your expectations for the weekend?
Well, in the game I'm watching today, they've got NYU down big in the first quarter, and they're tied at half. And so, Chicago's very good. There's not one bit of us that is preparing for anything other than Friday night. I think we have a chance to win the weekend, but we're going to have to play our best basketball of the year. You go on the road, and I think, we're just young enough that, sometimes that works to your advantage. I like that there is a little naiveness to this group when we go on the road. And Chicago will be a great test. I think one of the best defensive teams I've seen all year long. We've had a chance to watch them multiple times throughout the year. And, I think their coach is younger, but has done an incredible job at Chicago. She and I have texted quite a bit over her career, and just to, encouragement on my part to her, but also, just good job. I mean, I think that's a sleeping giant, and she has woken them and I think they are going to be good for a long, long time.
Anna, how do you get ready for the unknowns? I mean, you've obviously had some good opponents this season. You played Trine. You've gotten big wins over Trine. You had a trip, interestingly enough, out to, Atlanta to play Oglethorpe and Pacific, kind of get that understanding of what an NCAA trip could be. You played some other good teams this season in Colorado College, Ohio Wesleyan, etc. How do you get ready for a weekend like this?
Yeah, I think, like Coach Mo said, I think we're focused on Friday first and knowing we could play Saturday, but we got to win Friday. And then I think just preparing how we have the whole season. I think we focus on us even today, like in practice, focus on our defense, our rebounding, our offense, and then control what we can control throughout the game. And I think we can know some of their sets, know their personnel and that kind of stuff, but really just focus on who we are as a team and play our basketball.
Brian, she leads the team in scoring. She's one of the top rebounders as well, but you've got 4 players in double figures. How does this team break down? If we're watching this game and it's 5 minutes in, what am I keying on to understand how the team's playing and all that for how the game may play the rest of the way out?
Yeah, I think if if we're playing with pace, that's a good thing. If we're forcing hard shots and then rebounding them, I think that's a good thing for us. You know, I think the one thing that I would say, you kind of reference back to a couple of our trying games this year and everything. We made some pretty big changes after about midway through February and in style of play. We could have gone either way. We were talking about going 5 in, 5 out, and we made some really big decisions on like how we wanted to play. I'm not going to give away all our secrets because I know people watch this, but how we play, who we play, and what we emphasize. And it has made a huge difference. And credit to our players for being able to, in my opinion, do an incredible job of adjusting during the season.
Anna, from your perspective, what's it mean to wear the Hope colors and play for this program that you obviously chose to play for and be in moments like these?
It's a lot of fun. I love it. I think, obviously, like we talked about last year, not making the tournament was disappointing. So I think this year I came back wanting to and knowing we could. And I think I take a lot of pride in wearing the colors, but then also just playing with my teammates. Like we all put in a lot of work and we play for each other. We play for the college and knowing who we represent, the fan base and the alumni and all that. I think we take a lot of pride in that and knowing the tradition of the program, but then also like our team, knowing what we bring to the program, that not all teams are the same. And I think we've done a good job embracing who we are and this special group we have this year.
Got to let you go because we got to get other people on the show as well. But I'm curious, Anna, we asked Zevi this because he's a senior, but you're a sophomore, so it's got a different edge to it. But what's your major? What are you hoping to major in if you haven't decided yet? And what are you hoping to do when college does come to a close? And for you, obviously, that's a little further away.
Yeah, I mean, I'm studying business right now, but besides that, I honestly have no idea what I want to do after.
Take your time. Do not rush. Brian, what are you planning to do when your college career comes to a close?
Well, my college career has been going on for 35 years because I never left since 1987. My math was bad, so it's probably longer than that. But the great thing is I love what I do, and this particular team has been energy giving to me. I mean, their approach to practice, Anna, her sister, have been incredible. Our whole team has been incredible, but we also have this group of freshmen this year, and they're let me just say they bring the juice every day, and they love the game of basketball. Our freshman class is really going to be good down the road, and a couple of them have had pretty big opportunities to play this year, but A couple of those other young ladies are going to be really good too. And I don't know. Like I love what I do. Retirement is not in my future, and I love going to work with young people. And as I told them today, um, when we met before practice, my assistant coach brought them all in. He goes, last week, he goes, I think you can all feel that Mo's a little uptight right now, a little revved up, before the national, first round. And I told him today, I said, the reason I'm revved up is because I wanted another Monday practice with this group. I wanted to win last weekend because I love this group. And I know if we lose, you guys all get to go to lunch and dinner together. And Anna and Leah, you guys are going to go, you guys live together. And all my freshmen are going to hang out. All my seniors are going to hang out. But so we coaches, like, we don't get access to you guys if we lose. And so I'm revved up because I love this team and I want to be with them every single day that I possibly can.
I'm not sure where we go with that. That's pretty darn cool. And I did notice he talked about his freshmen a lot. I hope you don't have a complex about that as a sophomore.
No, they're a great group.
Congratulations. Good luck this coming weekend and beyond. Anna, I have a feeling we may have you back on this show at some point in the future. Brian, we know we'll have you back on this show sometime in the future. In the meantime, as we did with the other guests, we always give the last word to the guest. Any final thoughts you may want to share with those who may be tuned in? Brian, we'll let you start off.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to going and having a Dr. Pepper right now and, just kind of relaxing the rest of the night. First of all, Dave, for what you do, I've said this before when I've been on your show, no one brings a brighter shining light to Division III women's basketball than you do, and I appreciate that. Really cool thing happened to me. I was out recruiting tonight before I came on the show, and a woman I don't know walked up to me, and she said, I just want to let you know that I came to your games last weekend on Friday and Saturday, and I'd never been to a college women's basketball game. And she said, my husband watches NBA, we watch basketball on TV, but she said, I have never seen the kind of passion, the kind of energy, and the quality of play that I saw in the gym that night. And honestly, it just kind of made me feel so great about like what we're doing and hopefully impacting our community, but also young players, young women that might want to go into sports. And, it was a really cool thing because it is about having a platform to share our faith and to share the great game of basketball and share the power of the women in our basketball program and being that shining light for young people that can go on and be strong, powerful girls as they go through high school and women as they go into professional careers and they can dominate the world. And that's really what it's all about, is to prepare young people to go out and impact everybody else around them as they move into the next phases of their life.
Well said. Anna, like Zevi, good luck following that.
Yeah, thanks again for having me. And I would just say, like, to just enjoy the process, the journey. And I think these last 2 years, there's obviously been a lot of highs and lows, but I think they've gone so fast. And I'm excited for the next two. And I think just enjoying it. And I'm excited to see how I can use this platform, how I can support my teammates, the relationships I'm going to grow, and all those things. I think it's all part of it, and it's all what makes it special.
I misclicked on my computer. Well, congratulations. Thank you so much for coming on the show. I appreciate the time you gave us, and good luck this weekend, as I said. Look forward to catching up with you all down the road, and take care of yourselves. And Anna, do me a favor at the very least, keep Mo in line for me.
I can do that.
I appreciate it. We'll talk later. Guys, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Great job, Anna.
Brian Morehouse and Anna Richards joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with them. We'll take a break. We're supposed to have Bethel coming up, but I have a feeling reading an email that we may have gotten some wires crossed, so we're going to double check that. But again, it's a Hoopsville break. It is our Hoopsville Buy Me a Coffee campaign. Be generous if you could. We'll be back with more Hoopsville. Oh no, there he is. Coach is coming. We're going to set up Bethel women's basketball coming up next. Welcome back, everybody. We've got Bethel women's basketball coming up here shortly. You got questions for us? Tweet us at D3 Hoopsville, hashtag Hoopsville. You can join us on the live stream. Love the transition segue. Thanks, Phil. We're just doing buymeacoffee.com as our ad breaks today. Appreciate everybody tuning in. I hope you're enjoying the show. Thanks for taking the time. We're doing it from the Southern Florida studios, which don't actually exist until now, but here we are doing the show. We'll be here Thursday as well, by the way, 7 Eastern time before I get on a flight Friday morning to head back. And then the following Monday, we'll do our normal Hoopsville. Reminder, next Thursday, in 10 days, we won't have a show because we'll be busy with the men's and women's Elite Eight on the men's side, Final Four on the women's side. So keep in mind. And then we're going to figure out how we do shows between the end of that and men's championship. I've got MLB starting, so it's going to get wacky real fast, but we'll figure it out. Women's basketball, because we're just sticking with the theme, we're going to go to another school that's got a nice, strong religious background because Yeshiva wasn't good enough, Hope wasn't good enough, and we're not going out to Rome to the Vatican City, apparently, though too bad Catholic men didn't win this weekend. Should have gone to Catholic. That would have been a shoo-in. But instead, we'll go to Bethel, who maybe are a little out of place, Herbie, in Minnesota with the Baptists. Usually that's a Southern thing, is it not, sir?
Oh, no. The North American Baptists, we've got what used to be the Baptist General Conference. We're converged worldwide now. So, there's Baptists in the North.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty. Well, hey, it's John Herbrechtsmeyer, who I now know how to say the name. Don't have to call you Herbie all the time, but I'll do it anyway. And joining us is Rosalie, is it Penke or Penke?
Penke.
It is Penke. Okay, thank you. I know I got a note from your coach and sports information department, but I forgot to check it. Also known as Rosie by everybody. Welcome to the show. Thank you for everybody for taking the time to join me. I appreciate it. First and foremost, I'm reading this right. I know there's been high expectations, John, but the program, first ever time into the round of 16 since 1999. This is
96.
96.
30 years.
Thank you. I knew I was off there by a little, but I was trying to give you some credit. Listen, you and I have talked. You've wanted the program to get to this point. You kept running into roadblocks in the opening weekend. This is huge.
Oh, it's tremendous for us, and particularly because of the way this came about. Like, we thought we'd be here. We just didn't think we'd take this road to get here. And if you just look at our record, it's perfectly fine. 26 or 24 and 6 or whatever we're fine. But that's not like we thought we'd be conference regular season champs, conference playoff champs, maybe only a handful of losses along the way. But we've gone through a lot of adversity. But when it started to hit, I don't believe in coincidence. I think everything happens for a reason. I'm not a social media guy. And I happened to be doom scrolling after this one next to me broke her hand. And Ellie Schmitz, our All-American, injured a knee. And I just happened to come across Tony Bennett saying, if you allow it, adversity can take you to a place you wouldn't get otherwise. And I just leaned into that. And that has sort of been our theme from late December on, because nothing about the process has been easy.
Rosie, what I'm hearing from this is that it's your fault. That he was doom scrolling on social media because you broke your hand, and that he thought the season was over. I think that's how I took it. How did you take it sitting next to him?
I just thought this just got really complicated.
Yes, it did. Rosie, from your perspective, obviously it's a little bit different, as he says. We'll talk about the season and the conference too, because I think it was a little different all in all. But from your perspective, what was this season so far been like?
Well, we started out being ranked preseason 13th, and I think that was really exciting for our whole team. So I think it shocked us coming out with our first loss against Stout. That was a really just unexpected for all of us, I think. But it kicked us off with a mindset of, yes, we're ranked and we have a lot of people back and we're expected to be really good, but it doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And I think that ranking right away might have caused a little bit of a mindset like that. And then I think we just came to realize that our conference in the MIAC is really good this year. It was really good. We had 4 teams make it to the tournament. And so going in, we had the goal to be undefeated in the MIAC. That was one of the things we decided as a team. So having a couple losses was frustrating, but I think it just, as Herbie said, the adversity made us better in the end. So it was kind of a roller coaster of the season in the middle when we had losses to teams we weren't expecting to, and showed us that nothing's going to be easy. And even though it's expected that we'll win, it doesn't mean every game is going to come out like that. And it really brought us together, I think.
Yeah, it makes you ready for the next opponent maybe a little bit more. It was a wild conference too. St. Scholastica was having a good season. Concordia Moorhead, St. Mary's. It was one of those conference races, Herbie, that I think a lot of us have always expected. We were waiting for the conference schedule to allow maybe us to see it. Not because of the conference schedule, but because the numbers would tell us more, right? Like we'd see the non-conference.
We were playing just simply too many games against each other to ever get, particularly under the old system, to ever get to where we could host a home first 2 rounds. And for both Concordia and us to host for, a young Gustavus team that we knew would be good. Lori would reload. She's a great coach. And, when Kim landed Maya Metcalf, we knew they would be good. Scholastica was young and talented a year ago. Same with St. Mary's. I mean, the league was the best it's been. And keep in mind, I started in the league in the late 80s. It's the best it's been since the mid 90s. And it was a really fun year, but it was a little different from the standpoint of expectations and reality. And for us to deal with the reality of how good the league was a little bit of a roller coaster, but it was a lot of fun. I'm sure as an outsider watching some of the wild scores any given night was a lot of fun and very interesting to try and figure out what is happening in the MIAC.
Oh, the end right there. It was more like, okay, what is going on? And as a guy who's trying to book a guest, who am I booking now? Rosie, from your perspective, 17-1 last year, 14-4 in conference this year. You've got teams at the top of the conference. It's a little bit more of a tug of war, as it were. And as a result, a little bit more on the line going into the conference tournament, right? Like, how was that from a team's perspective?
I think last year our whole focus was on Gustavus. They were the only team that had beaten us in conference. And so that was the only team that there was a lot of focus around, especially going in the tournament. This year, it was kind of a debate in the locker room. Okay, who do we want to face? Who do we feel like will be the best competition to take us to the next game? And not really having an easy pick because everyone was good competition. And I think going into the tournament, that was a great mindset to have as a team, is every single one of these teams is good. So we know we have to bring our A game to even move on to the next round. And it made the tournament super fun because every win was a huge celebration, and just kind of hats off to our team a little bit and how we were able to pull together and take those one at a time.
Just a little inside baseball, folks. John Krikorian has jumped into our Zoom because he's our next guest. And what he doesn't know, because he probably hasn't watched the whole show, is now he has to somehow come up with a sect of a religion that Christopher Newport is a part of, because every other guest on this show is got some significant sect. So we're warning John now. You're not going to hear anything from him, but he's got to come up with something real good for the next segment. John, whoops, got back-to-back Johns here. Herbie, we're going to do it that way. 4 teams make it from the conference into the tournament. As you said, 2 are hosting. Like, this was that breakthrough that we've all heard you screaming bloody murder about, right? And again, freeing up the conference schedule helps. I still think it's got to get freed up a little bit more. That's for another topic. But 4 teams make it. And you're showing the fruits of the labor, not only yourselves. Like this clearly the MIAC is having a great season, but more about you. You guys do something for the first time in this program's history since '96. That is a huge step for the program as well. And as we talked about, you don't want to rest on those laurels, I know, and you may not be able to truly appreciate it to the end, but it's significant.
It's very significant. For me, particularly, we felt like we'd been banging against the wall of St. Thomas for a long time. There was a decade there where we were pretty darn good, but St. Thomas is going to Final Fours then. Like you can't become dominant in the region when you have a team that's better than you. Like, even though we could beat them from time to time, they're going to Final Fours, and they're gone now. And now you're seeing the league really rise back up to a level where, St. Thomas was for a long time, but sort of pressed everybody else down just a little bit. And we felt like we were there in 2020, and it just was such a weird time. We had a weird injury that year, right at the end of the season, had a kid not be able to play in the NCAA tournament. Then the pandemic was crazy. We come out of the pandemic, and poor Rosie's freshman year, I'm coaching a game at Gustavus. The whole game, we now know I was having a heart attack and had to have major heart surgery the next week. And it was a very strange time. And we've been building back up to that level throughout Rosie's sophomore, junior, and now senior year. And for me, it's really gratifying, because to see those kids who stuck with us during that year 3 years ago, when it was really hard, and when I wasn't able to be here with them, and the struggle that it was, and then to see the progress finally pay off this year, not only in sort of an unlikely run at the end of the season, not unlikely, but a great run, the run we had to have in order to earn the opportunity to host, and for our seniors to get that opportunity, and then to win 2 rounds and now be in the Sweet 16. It just seems like a poetic way to end the journey.
Yeah. Rosie, I don't know if you're taking notes, but now he said that he thought the season was over because of your broken hand. And I think he just said that his heart attack came because of you. I don't
freshman
know.
year, I guess.
Right, Rosie? I don't know how you're taking this news.
We won the game. It wasn't them.
It's true.
You sure?
I'm positive.
I appreciate that everybody's got a sense of humor, because mine can be wild sometimes. Rosie, yeah, for you as a senior, what's it like to help this program achieve what it's achieved so far? And I know it's not over. We'll talk about WNL here shortly, but what's it like from your perspective?
It's really exciting. I think this is better even than I could expect my senior year to be. Coco Dunnick is a co-captain, co-senior with me, and she was also there freshman year. We were the only 2 that were there throughout the whole freshman year, and we've had a lot of conversations about how each year there's been improvement. It feels like this has been building up to that moment. Last year we lost the conference tournament, but still made the NCAA, and then lost in the second round. And then this year getting to win the conference tournament and make it even further. It just feels like every year has been building up to this. And as a senior, I hope that I've been able to contribute in some way to that culture being built, of the belief that we can make it this far, and getting to start that freshman year, which was really hard, and just have more and more gratitude that I stuck it out, especially getting to talk to Coco about that and kind of celebrate the steps that I've taken each year to get there.
Despite all the blame that you've taken. I get it.
I guess so.
It's awesome, Rosie. Hats off to you. You are the winner. John Krikorian's waiting, so I got a couple of quick questions I got to get going. WNL's coming up. You're going to Lexington, Virginia. Interestingly enough, win that weekend, and you literally go about 30, 45 minutes down the road to Salem, Virginia for the Final Four. It is that close. WNL is a really good team. Rosie, I don't know how much you've dove into it. I'll get your take on it before Coach. But Mary Schleisner is obviously what everything's circled on, but they've got another good team. They're undefeated. Everything seems to be clicking for them. What are your expectations?
I do think this weekend helped. We had competed against a couple really good posts this weekend as well. Personally, I'm waiting for Herbie to send over some of the film clips, but we did watch a little bit before practice today, just me and a few teammates. And I think it put a little bit of fire under us to watch them play and think of some ways that we want to attack their team, but also like we have to respect them in a bunch of different aspects, their post being one of them. And I'm excited to see our post compete with her because I think that our posts are some of the best in the nation. And so I'm excited to watch that challenge. And I hope that they have that fire under them too, that we're in the Sweet 16. So everybody's really good. But that also means that we're really good and we get to compete at this level. So that's exciting to me.
Obviously, on the other side of it is Dennison and John Carroll. I know you're not looking on beyond that, so I'm not going to ask any questions about that. But Herbie, yeah, again, WNL, Mary Slicener, the former wanted to be a cross country runner in D1. I'm assuming you wish she stayed there, but obviously she's a big threat. But as Rosie said, it's not something you're unfamiliar with. Your early thoughts on the Generals?
They're just obviously very good. They've been good Mary's entire time there. And I'll be honest, she's just a freak. Like athletically, she's a super freak. I mean, the way she runs and jumps, but we've played a lot of very good players over the years. I've tried to play a national schedule. Like this year, I think on Massey, one game after Christmas, after we played Gustavus, we had moved to number one in Massey on strength of schedule at that point, right as the WIAC regular season was starting. All those teams obviously playing each other and beating each other up surpassed us. But at that point in time, you know, we'd played as tough a schedule as we could control. I think after last weekend, what's the count now? We've played 14 games against teams in the NCAA tournament. You know, that's a pretty good number. I think probably only the WIACs can get to that number. So, you know, we feel like we're ready for this moment. They're obviously very, very good. We're going to have to be at our best, but you're in the Sweet 16. Hopefully you are at your best at that point. So.
Well, congratulations. Before I let you go, Rosie, I am curious. We've been asking all our student athletes this. You're a senior. What's the major? What's your plan post? I know you don't want basketball to end. The season has to come to a close. You're either the winner or you're not. But what are you hoping to do when you finally get that diploma?
I'm a biokinetics major here. I am just taking one credit right now to be eligible for basketball. So right now it's like the sweet spot where I'm working a little bit and getting to play basketball. So I'm living my best life. But in May, I'm actually going to start graduate school at the University of South Carolina. I'm working to be an athletic trainer. So that's where I'll be headed in May.
If I'm not mistaken, this is Athletic Trainer Awareness Month.
Yes, it is.
So it works out. I only know that because as a public address announcer, I've made many a reads about that already this month. Well worth it. Don't get me wrong. John, I'm thinking you get done, whether it's this weekend or in Salem, you could just head a little further south, drop Rosie off.
We could. I mean, we actually were just talking about how if we're not done soon, we're going to have to go straight from the season to Rosie's grad school. Yeah. So it's coming up fast. So.
It is. Hey, thanks for your time. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the insight. Congratulations on everything. The great thing is if both MIAC teams continue on, that'd be an epic championship game. They are on the opposite sides of the bracket. In the meantime, thank you for your time. As always, we give the guests the final word, and in fairness to the player, we always let the coach go first on this, but we do want to hear it from both of you. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all of our fans who came out last weekend. It was pretty special. And I just want to say thanks to all of the players who over 24 years have helped us get to this point. a lot of us have worked for a long time, including former assistant coaches, former players, and it's a little bit of culmination of a lot of work by a lot of people. So, but especially the ones currently in the program, but those who came before laid a foundation. So Rosie's the current keeper of the culture, and she'll pass the torch to others, but it's been a while coming. So
Well said, Rosie.
Thanks for having us. I think a big theme of my whole season has just been gratitude. So this is a fun opportunity. Being in the Sweet 16 is a fun opportunity. As Herbie said, when I broke my hand, I was just praying over and over again that it wouldn't be a season stopper because senior year, and it ended up not being. And I think it freed me up mentally just to be even more grateful. So yeah, thank you. And I'm excited to keep going. So.
Well, congratulations. And John, we should point out another thing. You guys beat St. Thomas down so much that Ruth Sin is retired.
well, we beat her once so bad they had to tear down Schenecker Arena and put up a new arena. They're on their second arena since the old Schenecker.
That's true. That's true.
I say that tongue in cheek. Ruth
Yes,
is one of my
you do.
really great friends. So
No, I know you are.
I'm glad
I
to
know.
see her end on her note,
Yes.
her way.
I agree with you. I
Not
agree with
before.
you. John and Rosie, thank you so much. Or I should say Herbie and Rosie, thank you so much for appearing on Hoopsville. I appreciate the time you found us. You guys all take care, and good luck this weekend, and look forward to catching up with you somewhere down the road.
Thanks, Dave. Appreciate it.
Thank you. And once again, hearing from Rosalie Penke and John Herbrechtsmeyer, the head coach at Bethel and his senior guard, who apparently he blamed for everything. It's sad. It really is. It's a sad thing. We'll take a break. When we come back, John Krikorian joins us from Christopher Newport. We'll find out what sect of religion the captains now are. You're listening to Hoopsville. You're going to bring you once again the Buy Me a Coffee ad break as we get John set up on the other end. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. I forgot to tell Herbie a note. I was watching the live stream, and someone named Golden Spider Monkey was posting comments saying, "Hi, Dad. Watching as an insider was a wild ride. We're so proud. We're proud of our Bethel women's seniors. We love Ruth at Bethel." I meant to tell John because clearly he had a family member who considers themselves a Golden Spider Monkey watching the show, and I thought that was rather intriguing. Thanks for tuning in. If you got questions for us, you can tweet us. You can join us on the live stream. You can email us. All that information at the bottom of your screen, including the buymeacoffee.com link. Help us out. Oh, his daughter, Abby. Well, thanks for still tuning in. That's even better. All right, so the challenge ahead for our next guest is to figure out what religious sect they belong to, because we had this weird coincidence where we decided to have Yeshiva, Hope, Bethel, and Hardin Simmons on the show, along with Christopher Newport. So I'm fascinated to see what John Krikorian has come up with as the head coach of the men's basketball team. Joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline. Sir, the pressure was on. I think I gave you enough time. What was your answer?
Yeah, I think I'm going to take the politically correct stance and say that Christopher Newport University is a public institution, and any religious comments would be inappropriate at this time.
Boo and hiss, sir. No, that is the appropriate way of doing it. You are the odd man out of this one, interestingly enough. Hey, congratulations. Much like Brian Morehouse earlier this season, one of the rare times that I don't talk to you during the regular season, really because there's so many great programs around Division III to shine a light on, but also because this season, maybe it was just me, it felt like a little more of an off-the-radar type year for the captains. Was that a fair way of assessing it? What was the perspective from your side?
We just do what we do, man. I don't know what to tell you. We're fortunate we get a great group of guys. They take our coaching, and we try to put ourselves in a position where you have to have us on the show, whether you like it or not. And
we enjoy having you, John.
I mean,
Always.
clearly, you lose John Hines, four-time All-American, retired his number this year. Just one of the all-time greats. So yeah, I think that there was some uncertainty of who was going to fill those roles and what we were going to look like. It took us a little while. I just saw today, I think we played the second toughest schedule in the entire country. So we had a few nights where we got beat up, but these guys are very resilient. We learned a lot from those. We were able to win a number of really close games against top quality opponents and put ourselves in a position to get a 3 seed in this thing, which if you told me that when we were sitting at 1 and 2 at Catholic, I'd have thought you were crazy. But all the credit in the world to these guys. They just put their head down and kept going, and here we are.
Well, it's interesting because I was talking to your athletics director earlier this year, and the idea of the scheduling, and we're not going to dive into that because we've done it ad nauseum, but it allows to be able to go out there and find who you want to play, challenge yourselves, right? Make it as challenging as it needs to be. All with the intent of preparing you for the NCAA tournament. And it's been consistent. The program, men's and women's, has always been a consistent NCAA tournament team for starters, but deep run usually. This year got to host again, and I'm kind of curious, while you were watching the W&J and Mount Union game, if you're thinking to yourself, this is the perfect reminder to my guys that anybody can beat anybody because it's going to be tough on any given night.
Oh yeah, no doubt. I mean, we were thrilled to be able to host, to have done the body of work to be able to host in the first round of the tournament is huge, especially we're coming off a trip to California. You come home on a red eye. It's a tough deal. You got to turn around and be ready to go. So to not have to travel was really beneficial for us. The teams that did come had to travel quite a distance. And then that W&J and Mount Union game was for the ages. I mean, those two teams laid it all on the line. And we did too. Stevens battled us till the end too. But, I think it maybe took a little bit out of W&J on a back-to-back. Being on the road, we were at home. We were able to pull away from them. But just a great weekend at home. Colin Hines' last home game at the Freeman Center. Just really special stuff.
Yeah, it was great to watch. Hines, the lone guy remaining from your championship team. You talked about his brother playing in Portugal. But a program, again, the consistencies, the expectations. I was looking back at the schedule just a moment ago. 5 losses on the season, not abnormal. You play a tough schedule, you said. All 5 of them to ranked opponents. 2 of those games to Mary Washington, and you snipped them. Was that their first loss of the season, I think, or was their second. It doesn't matter. It came back to back with Randolph-Macon for them. Those things prepare you for anything, obviously. What did you see in your matchup with W&J that was different than maybe you were going to see with Mount Union, and how did you take advantage of it?
Yeah, well, we were just focused on Stevens all week, and something we've done here consistently is, yes, the assistants will take a peek at the other teams, but, we hadn't played anybody like Washington and Jefferson that was going to press us the whole game. We hadn't really seen that. We thought that could go either way. We liked our chances. Our guys like to play fast. So we felt like if we could take care of the basketball enough, you're going to make mistakes against that, but if you could take care of it enough, we thought we had guys that could finish at the other end with some space. And, it turned out to be the case. Especially I thought our guys came and played really good defense that weekend. And if it had been Mount Union, it would have been a totally different style and different game that we would have had to prepare for in one day and play. And they had just terrific, tough, typical Mount Union players, program, coaching, and I'm sure they would have given us everything they had.
Admittedly, I was looking forward to the rematch, but hats off to the Presidents on pulling off a heck of an upset at the Freeman Center early on. Going back, what is it about this team that clicks? Again, just one guy from that national championship team, though you're led by Toa Hollenbeck, first team all-conference. Interesting enough, I love your note here. Just named head coach. His father was just named head coach at Regent University, which is coming in to the CDC, which I find fascinating. But back to Toa and what he brings to the table that complements Colin and everybody else. Like how does this team click?
Yeah, this group has been really unique. It's been a really special group to coach. They have as much heart as any team that I've coached. They love playing. They love competing. And it's led by all those guys. I mean, we have 9 juniors, many of whom started or played a lot of minutes as freshmen on that team after the national championship, got put in a really tough spot, stepped right in. And so they've been growing and building our culture. And then with Colin, of course, leading the way as a senior, it's just been really fun to coach these guys. And our young guys have come right in. We have had some freshman and sophomore contributions. They've come right in and given us a lift at times. It sounds kind of cliche-ish sometimes at this time of year. I do think that the teams that advance are the teams that really want to keep playing, that just don't want to see it end. And I've had teams, and there's some teams that just have come to the end of the line and they're tired, and yeah, they want to win, but they don't have to win. And I think my group is one of those groups that really, really wants to keep playing together. They really care about each other. They really care about the game. They love to compete, and we're just thrilled and have a ton of gratitude that we get to keep playing right now.
Interesting scenario coming up in your next game, which again is a single round game. If memory serves, were you in 2020 in that position?
Hobart was on our court practicing when the news came down.
That's right. I vividly remember that now. I vividly remember that. So first off, you're used to this, except you're going to be on the road. But you talked a moment ago about being on the West Coast at Santa Cruz for the C2C tournament and taking a red eye. Oh, God, a red eye back. That's brutal. You're going to have the really arduous job and of travel this weekend to Ashland, Virginia. That's going to take you, 2 hours? Talk about a
It'll
flip.
be about an hour, Dave. You should know.
It's an hour?
It's only about an hour. Yeah.
I've driven that. I just thought it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
I've actually gone from Christopher Newport for some games to Randolph-Macon later in the weekend for another. You've seen Randolph-Macon. You saw them back. You talked about that 1 and 2 start. The 2 losses were to Randolph-Macon and Catholic on back-to-back games. Can you take anything from that game and use it now, or do you have to start from scratch because you've changed so much and maybe they've changed so much?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think you're right on. I mean, I think you can take what you can take, but I think it would be foolhardy to think that game alone dictates how to prepare for this one. I think we've both grown. Players have come into new roles on both teams. Um, both identities are pretty forged at this point. But at the end of the day, it's a lot of the same guys. It's the same programs. This is, I think, as good an in-state, as good a rivalry as we have right now in Division III college basketball. Josh Merkel is a close friend, but I know on Friday night we are gonna do everything we can possibly do to try to beat the other guy.
In recent years, you guys have faced off a number of times. It's been a pretty even split since 2019 in terms of who wins. They have won the last two. I know we're not putting stock in that. I'm just pointing out that you and Merkel have made sure to play each other quite a bit. What kind of style? I asked this earlier. What kind of style are they going to play, do you think? Or a better way of saying it is, opening 5 minutes, I'm tuned into this game. What am I going to key on for you guys to know if things are working the way you want them to, or you're going to have to start making some adjustments?
Yeah, I mean, this is just a game, Dave, where I think that if there's 75 possessions it's going to come down to just how many of those possessions that you can win. And it's not going to be very fancy. It will likely be ugly at times. I just think the heart and the grit of the players on both sides is going to be at a very high level. I'm sure there'll be some phenomenal basketball plays because there's great players on both teams. There's also going to be some gritty plays where guys are on the floor at midcourt trying to get a 50-50 ball. And that's what it's going to be. I don't think either team is gonna throw a lot of gimmicks out there or try to overcoach their kids. We have a lot of respect for Randolph-Macon. I think it's mutual. Um, on paper, your guys, your D3 guys and your DataCast guys and all the pundits say, we're like a 20-point underdog. So, um, we'll see.
One advantage of being in Fort Myers, I haven't seen those numbers. I've been too busy. If you don't mind me taking a moment, you and Mary Washington, much like Bethel, we were just talking about two teams from the same conference sitting on opposite sides of the bracket. If all the magic were to happen, the two of you will be facing off in Indianapolis for a national championship. But what's it mean that it's not just the Christopher Newport show in men's basketball now in the C2C? Mary Washington has emerged now as a real national threat, and I know Salisbury's trying, but what's it mean for this Mary Washington program in compliments to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's another very similar to Randolph-Macon. Marcus Kahn is a friend. I'm thrilled for he and his team and what they've accomplished, despite it being against us. But they work hard. They got good players. We have a lot of respect for them. It's lifted our league tremendously to have them on the national stage. To have two of us there, I think is great. And that's what you want. I mean, at Christopher Newport, we don't shy away from competition. We never have. We continue to try to be the very best. And high tide lifts all boats, right? And I think that the better they are, the better it'll force us to become. And I think that's in the long term a great thing.
John, the pressing question we all have, though, since we last talked to you, we know it was a bit of a difficult conversation to have with your brethren on the other side of women's basketball with Bill Broderick. I'm been very curious. Who won the dance battle this year?
We got some bad officiating again on that one,
Again,
Dave.
John. Once in what, 6 or 7 now? This is
It's been,
concerning.
I can't remember the last time we won it, to be honest with you. It's not been good. It's not. We have a petition in to the conference, to the powers that be. We're going to try to get some new officials next year for that one.
Are you worried that your job could be on the line with the athletics director with how this has turned out, sir?
It's possible. Win games, graduate your kids, but lose the dance battle, and you're
Right?
out.
This could be concerning, Coach K.
Not fun. My family's not happy about it.
No, I can imagine. How's the team taking it, though? Have they been able to handle it?
They're working on. The recruits are already working on their game for next year.
And on a very completely different topic, I suspect you and I both watched with the same reaction to the end of a semifinal game in Annapolis, Maryland this weekend. I know Navy is near and dear to your heart. They had an incredible season, to paraphrase someone, probably the best team in generations for men's basketball there. Tough one in Annapolis, but maybe helpful for your team.
Yeah, we did catch that. And I think there's a lot you can learn from the end of all these games. And it's funny, today we just had our assistant coach Acree, who was phenomenal, just had him clip up a whole bunch of end of games in these conference tournaments, because there's so much you can learn. You could certainly learn from that one. And I got friends on both sides of that game, BU and Navy. So I don't really necessarily root for anyone in particular at this point, but like you can learn a lot.
Yeah, that was unbelievable.
That was certainly heartbreaking.
Heartbreaking
for BU.
I'm going to be on Navy's campus Saturday. I can only imagine what it may be like. Hey, John, appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming on the show and humoring us as well, as always. As always, we also give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you'd like to share with those tuned in?
Really, you always do this, and I always come up with something, and it's, I don't know. It's completely unrelated to basketball at all, but and you brought up the Navy thing, but at this time we're playing basketball. Someone said it to me the other day, and it's so serious. We're in the Sweet 16 and the tournament and this and that. I mean, we're playing a game. We're playing basketball. It's pretty awesome. We love it. We love the support that people give us. We love to be able to do this and play meaningful games. My players are so grateful, but we have people overseas that are fighting right now, and they're in harm's way, protecting our country, and not a day goes by that our thoughts don't go out to them and appreciate their service. So every chance I get, I just want to reiterate that we're grateful to be playing a game because of our service members overseas. So thank you.
Well said, sir. Thank you very much for your time. Good luck this weekend against Randolph-Macon. Maybe we'll see you in Fort Wayne for a return trip for yourselves. Either way, I know I'll catch up with you down the road. Take care of yourself. Look forward to catching up.
Sounds great. Thanks, Dave.
Thank you, bud. Take care. John Krikorian joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with Christopher Newport, men's basketball. When we come back, we'll head down to Texas. Again, this is going to be the Buy Me a Coffee break. So if you feel like helping us, donate or become a Hoopsville member by going to buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. The information will be on your screen, including a QR code. When we come back, Hardin Simmons women's basketball. Kendra Whitehead will join us. Again, John is the oddball out in this entire Hoopsville show. We'll have some fun with that coming up and learn more about how good this program is leaving Texas. Back with more Hoopsville when we come back here. Thanks to the WBCA and D3Hoops.com. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody. Appreciate you hanging on, especially those you have been going on between segments. I'm wondering if Golden Spider Monkey's still on the show. I have a fat feeling Abby isn't still there, but thanks for sticking through the buymeacoffee.com ad break. I'm going to go to Buy Me a Coffee and see if any of you have signed up. And if not, I'm hoping that you will sign up while we do this show. But in the meantime, we're going to go to our next guest, fitting into the theme, other than Christopher Newport, of apparently finding different parts of the religious side of schools to come on and talk about their great tournaments in the NCAA. It's just weird how I booked this one. But joining us to talk about Hardin Simmons, who comes out of that funky Texas pod we were talking so much about leading up. They come out with solid win over Austin, and then a fascinating win over Whitman. They get the joy of once again seeing an NYU program, but instead of talking to them in New York, we've still got them in Texas. Kendra Whitehead joins us on the Hoopsville Hotline to talk about her Cowgirls. Congratulations, first and foremost. Been on my radar of a team I wanted to talk to, but I kept bouncing elsewhere. You come out of a funky ASC, you get into the NCAA tournament, you host, and you're through to the second weekend. All major accomplishments.
Thanks, Dave. We're excited about our team, and thanks for having me on.
I can't click on the mic fast enough. Thank you. It's a different setup. Usually I just have a simple little button. Listen, Kendra, again, a program that by all accounts, but the standards you all set, had a great season. You guys have always wanted to have a program that's near the top in the conversation nationally, whether you're in the top 25 or not. ASC's in a funky situation right now. We can talk a little bit about how that set up the schedule a little bit, but what was the mentality going into the year, and were you achieving that before we got to the NCAA tournament?
Right. So, Dave, you kind of mentioned our conference. As a coaching staff, we went into the season knowing we had a talented group, but that it was going to be an especially hard year because we had 6 league games, and it was difficult to get anyone to come out to Texas. So out of our 25 games, we're going to play 16 of them on the road. And I got into a spot of, I really felt strongly that playing only 3 league games in February and 3 league games in January was not going to prepare us for either a conference tournament or beyond, where you've got to play 2 games back-to-back nights. And so I just got on there and I asked people like Hope if they would play us on their buys, and they accepted. And so fortunately, our administration supported us financially, and we were able to fly kind of all over the country. We played in all 4 time zones, but we were able to get games, during that crucial period where you really want to be in a rhythm of playing 2 games a week. And we were able to do that by going out to California in January and then taking a trip out to Michigan in February. And I just kind of looking back over that, of course, now that we're still playing, it seems like the right call. Because we were able to play 2 games a week. It felt like we were in a good rhythm as we went into the conference tournament.
A lot to unpack from there, but you've got a couple of things that I wanted to touch on. And first off, when I saw the ASC schedule, I jokingly called it earlier this season the football schedule, because you're going to play on a Saturday 1 game. And I did wonder, how is this going to prepare? But I have the other side of this of having seen Christopher Newport and some other teams in the C2C face something similarly. Whether it was because they jumped into this new formatting and had to get used to it and have evolved over the years or whatever. So I've seen both sides of it, and I was kind of curious. So I'm curious your take. You didn't think that would prepare you, and you wanted to get that second game.
Right, Dave. I was worried about the schedule being so front loaded. You would had to play so many games before January the 10th, say, and then you're so spread out towards the back end. And if you have injuries, if we'd had a bunch of injuries, I would have wished that I had done it differently, possibly, and we would have had more time for scouts and things like that. And coaches' opinions vary when it comes to this. There were teams that had a full week to get ready for us, and we were playing 2 games a week still, and so there were disadvantages there. But I just feel like I've got a young team. I actually only have 1 true senior that's in her 4th year of basketball, and everyone else is 2 years in or less. And I just thought a solid rhythm of 2 games a week was going to be most beneficial for us. Now, the travel amidst that made it even a little more challenging. I mean, if you can imagine, getting ready to go to Hope or Holland, Michigan in February and what that might bring. We were fortunate and we had beautiful weather while we were out there. Snow was actually melting and everyone was surprised. So, but there were a lot of challenges. But from day one, when we met with our team, hey, we told them it's going to be a really hard year in a lot of ways, but you're going to grow a lot from it. And I'm very thankful, and it's been very rewarding to see that they have done that.
It's been a wild winter. You even know that down in Texas this year. So yeah, I was wondering the same. And yeah, great to see Hope play that game. You guys played well, even though it was a loss in that. Obviously, we had Brian Morehouse on the show earlier. We didn't talk about that game necessarily. Probably should have, because that for them is different, right? Yes, they're used to playing 2 games a week, but that's their chance to take a break, and they decide not to and take on a challenge in yourself. Yeah, you talk about the ASC schedule, and we jokingly called it that, or I jokingly call it the football schedule. But then on the back end of that, you got to play a conference tournament that's back-to-back games. So suddenly you're thrown back into the back-to-back games. Now that gets you ready for the NCAAs, but it can have a negative impact too. How do you talk to the team about trying to balance all this and understand their schedule and what they got to do to get ready and all of that?
Right. Well, we tried to play back-to-back games all throughout the season, and we were able to do that usually once a month or especially early on. And then, everyone's in the same boat when you get there. And to me, the other teams who had just been playing 1 game a week were at that point at a little bit of a disadvantage, because even though we weren't necessarily playing back-to-backs, we were still playing on Wednesday and Saturday, and we're preparing for, on short rest and with just a couple of days to scout. What I've been most impressed with our team about is just their maturity level for such a young group and their ability to lock in and focus when we do have quick turnarounds like a conference tournament or the first and second rounds of the national tournament.
Sorry, microphone didn't want to follow me there. Yeah, so again, you go out there and you test yourself. As you point out, you played in all 4 time zones. You play on back-to-backs wherever possible. Before I get off the schedule question, the last one I have on it, who did you call around to people to get insight on how to deal with this as this ASC future was kind of bubbling to the surface? Did you call a Bill Broderick at Christopher Newport or somebody at Mary Washington or elsewhere to understand, hey, what might be the best tactics here? Or did you guys have a different strategy trying to figure it out, and I assume still figure it out, to be fair?
I didn't call those coaches, but now that you say that, probably would have been a good idea. When we sat down as, the coaches of our league and athletic directors together, we discussed the fact that, no one was really comfortable only playing 6 games in 6 weeks. And that if anyone was able to find any games during the middle to late January and into February, that we needed to all work together to reschedule our league games. And so our conference did do that for us. It was inconvenient for, I'll just name them, Howard Payne and Mary Hardin Baylor for 2 of the trips that we went on. And I appreciate the fact that they were willing.
We seem to have lost Kendra for a moment, maybe on her end or my end. For all I know, I'm still connected. We'll keep it here in case Kendra pops back in. If not, we will wait patiently for her to maybe reconnect. We're still connected best we know, but we're in a hotel, right? We don't know what the error may be. We think we're still streaming as well. I'm going to check my live stream. We do appear to be there, so we'll wait to see if Kendra can pop back in here momentarily. In the meantime, we'll at least get off of the shot so we don't have any issues there, and see if maybe we can get her back here momentarily. Everything seems to be good on our end. Interesting, she talks about having to, just popped off. We'll get her back here in a moment. Talking about having to deal with the scheduling and the understanding within the ASC conference that you may need to move some games to adjust to somebody else's schedule so you can get games in. That's what she was starting to talk about there. And I certainly appreciate that may have happened, as it were. Apologies as I'm just double checking messages. So hats off to the ASC on understanding. Now remember, ASC is going to change a little bit here. They're going to gain a couple more members next year, so the schedule will change a bit, and so this will be an evolution and a constant adjustment, as it were, to how you're scheduling. See if we can get Kendra back here in a bit. They may have had some issues on their end, which happens. Again, it's the internet. It's technology these days, right? You never know. In the meantime, if you got questions for us, we'll try and answer some of your questions. And let's see here. Appreciate the tweets that have gone out, especially of our Yeshiva segment. And check our email. See if anybody has emailed us. You can email us, hoopsville at d3sports.com. That's hoopsville at d3sports.com. There we go. Don't have any questions, but send them our way. Ooh, we may have gotten an email that is pertinent. No, we did not. Apologies. Thought maybe there was an outside chance we have some information. Hoping to see if maybe Coach is going to return. They may have lost. Hey, they may have lost internet. They may have lost power. There's a lot of things that could be in play here. So we'll see if we get her back momentarily. We'll keep it here so that if she returns, we can jump right back into the segment with her. If not, it is what it is. Things happen, and we understand that entirely. Certainly not going to. I'm amazed we got to this point in the show without any technical gremlins on our end. I am in a hotel. We are not able to get onto the premium speed of internet for one of the wildest reasons I can figure out. Oh, looks like Kendra's coming back. So the fact that Kendra is the first issue that we had, and we didn't drop off the air at any point in time, is a miracle in itself, folks. Bear with us. Kendra is back. We're just going to add her back into the show and go right back to talking with Coach Whitehead. Good to see you. Stuff happens. We get it. How are you?
Yep. No, I'm doing fine.
You were just talking about the fact that the ASC members were willing to move schedules if other schools found some games that they could play on certain situations, and it sounds like Mayor Hardin, Baylor, and others were able to do that for yourselves.
Yes, that's what I was saying, and we were super appreciative of that. It kind of was an inconvenience to them and to their schedules as well, but I was just saying my whole take on playing 3 games in February was just that wouldn't have our team ready for postseason.
Logical sense. You're in the postseason. We should point out, we've forgotten to mention this. Chad Grubbs reminded me, but I did know this. You are on the national committee. They told us their 2 members could not participate in the bracketing. I think it was yourself and Meg Barber. Coincidentally, you and Meg Barber are facing each other in the next round.
Yeah, like I thought I had friends on the committee. You know, I mean, I don't know what's happening there.
That's where I was headed with this. So you get a Texas pod. You got some friends there, right? You got to host those games. The committee couldn't get more flights to make this work. Before I get to the game, though, quickly, I assume then you didn't participate in anything. So were you able to do any work that weekend?
No, they didn't even let me on. Like in years past, I think we've been on, for 5 or 10 minutes, and then they would send us off. We didn't even get on the call at all.
You are banished.
We were, yes.
So, yes, interestingly enough, like it was 2 years ago, that's when it was last. In the same round of 16, you are off to New York City. This time to take on NYU, which is in the same boat it was in that time. One small exception. They were undefeated then. They're undefeated now. They just have 2 crowns on their heads since you last met them. I want to know how the weekend just went, but let's at least get the elephant out of the room first. NYU ahead of you and their massive game-winning streak at this point. Your thoughts?
So, Dave, I was playing back in the days when WashU was on their streak, and I just remember this overwhelming feeling of dominance that they had over our division, and to see NYU surpass that recently is just phenomenal. I mean, it is a dynasty, and what Meg has done there has been really, really incredible. I've now watched film on two separate teams they have, and it's also pretty fascinating in that they're very different. But they just find ways to really highlight their strengths and to make the best out of what they have, even though they're so different from the first time that we played them. So it's going to be an exciting challenge.
Yeah, Meg's big timed us all now, showing up on ESPN Game Day now on Saturday morning. I think
I saw that, yes.
Yeah, I think us Hoopsville folks are now way back on the back burner for her future media.
Hey, we
interest.
got a mention on there,
Yeah,
for
you
the
did.
next game. So
You
yeah,
absolutely
Simmons.
did.
There you go.
Yeah, how do you're right, very different team, right? But so how do you get this team ready? Can you, to your point, can you use anything? I assume the trip is going to be familiar, what you plan to do when in New York to get ready and all of that is going to be familiar to a number of the players and coaching staff. But as you said, the team's different. So how do you get everybody ready for this big game?
Right, and we actually are only carrying one player that played in that game that year. So that year we had 4 COVID seniors that had monopolized the minutes for cowgirl basketball over a significant portion of the years ahead of them. So this team is brand new to it, and like I said, they're different. Their style is different. Obviously, their personnel is different. So there's not a lot we're taking from the basketball part the first time around, but I think from the travel perspective, we've been doing that all year. And so, yeah, going through the airports and living out of a bag, that's not really going to be any different. And so maybe that's helpful, and that hopefully that won't be too overwhelming. But I also kind of appreciate the fact that this group is sort of young. And so they don't know what they don't know. And so we'll just leave it at that.
Brian Morehouse said something similar about his Hope team. Listen, you are a defensive-minded team, and I want to talk a little bit about this game you just this weekend in particular, but this game especially with Whitman to some degree about that. You've held teams below 70. What I think all but 4 games you've held teams below 70, whereas NYU is an absolute offensive juggernaut. Let me quickly touch on the Whitman game. I was stunned to see that you only allowed 9 points in the first half to them. I was then equally stunned to see them come out to start the second half kind of on fire. And once you, forgive the term, I'm going to use it anyway, once you lassoed them, you then held them down on a 15-0 run and absolutely held them to submission under 40. What happened in that game? What is that the zenith of this defense of what is capable from your team?
It is. This goes way back to September when our kids started playing open gym. They actually played defense in open gym. And yeah, I mean, you'd be shocked to see that as a coach. It's usually just a highlight reel, right? But we get into official practices, and you could just kind of tell, just as individuals, they really cared a lot about it. We emphasized it early on, all of the little things as far as defense goes from day one. And I guess to be honest, traditionally, my day one has usually been transition offense. And we kind of flipped it on them, and it was really hard-nosed defense. And then to add with that, we're a little longer through a lot of positions. And as you know, in this game, that helps your defense quite a bit. But the girls have bought into it. They appreciate that defense gets them going, and a lot of times defense leads to easier offense.
Yeah. So my question then pivots, how do you take this defense on the road? I know it will travel, but to NYU, which has been such an offensive juggernaut this season. Is this one of those where you're going to have to try and use that? Or are you going to then maybe have to lean on some offense to try and kind of balance it out a little bit because you may not be able to slow them completely down?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to NYU, you got to be be ready for anything. But I will say that part of your defense is actually having a successful defense is actually your offense because you have to take care of the ball against them. A lot of their offense comes from the turnovers that they create, the live ball situations that make their offense a lot easier. And so you just taking care of the ball on your side of things and play until you get a quality shot is really, really important. And then, another big part of their offense is just their ability to rebound on that end, because somebody gets a rebound and now defense is scrambling and shooters are wide open. So, taking care of the basketball and boarding it super hard, those are two big keys, things that we talked about today. They're certainly not secrets when it comes to NYU. I mean, I think they're forcing 27 turnovers a game and they can board it with the best of them. So, yeah, they're scoring a lot. So we'll just have to kind of figure out, how to balance that out and put that puzzle piece in there as we go.
Talk to me about Jacqueline Berry. Obviously, you had a really great freshman campaign, but tell me about this player now as she's evolved. And to quote some who've given me notes, she's a superstar.
Jacqueline is an incredible athlete. She is fast. She is explosive. Fun fact about Jackie is she is a multi-time state champion in the 100-meter hurdles. So just kind of an all-around athlete. But the best part about Jackie is that as good an athlete as she is, she's an even better person. She's the same person day in and day out. She is high effort and energy every single day. Great leader. I mean, I couldn't imagine there's one person that doesn't like Jackie.
That's an amazing thought that she's a 100-meter hurdle champ, plus this player who can do anything. Forgive the another bad turn of phrase, but if you need to beat out a really tough hurdle in NYU, at least you got Jacqueline Berry on your team.
There you go.
Go ahead, everybody. You can use that free of charge. By the way, back to the scheduling thing. I do offer a consulting service that I'm creating as we speak. If you ever need it in the future. Yeah. So what's the season meant? Win or lose on Friday? Win or lose on Saturday? Win or lose whenever it happens? What is this season meant? Is that something you can even answer at this juncture?
I think it is challenging, to be honest, because I've already kind of spoken on our youth with having the one true 4-year player on our team. And so, in some ways, after losing those COVID seniors 2 years ago, I feel like we're a little ahead of schedule to be playing in the Sweet 16. But I think a lot of that has to do with the growth that we saw through this year. So that's extremely rewarding because, I mean, we told them it was going to be hard and we had some bad games all throughout. Sometimes we still got good results, but we just didn't play as well as any of us really wanted to. And to see them just go to work day after day and continue to get better. I mean, I felt like, and you kind of referenced this a minute ago, but I mean, we got better in that Whitman game, and that was March the 7th, so it's to be a long season. We're in our 6th month of basketball, and you could be tired of practice or show up, wanting to go through the motions, and they really never do that. So to be so young, they've shown a lot of maturity and they've really grown. And, that's what this job is about is, motivating kids and encouraging them to grow. And to be able to see that and to be at this point, it's definitely been rewarding.
Yeah, that Whitman game blew me away because I think I just got done sending a Slack message to the crew going, you wouldn't believe it. Whitman's back in this game. This is amazing. And I'm like, oh, wait, no, no, they're on a 15-0 run. Never mind. This is over. If you can forgive me, I've learned a lot about Texas watching a great show that everybody tells me to watch named Landman. And I'm assuming everything about Abilene in that show is accurate, just as everything on the Chicago Fire, MD, and Police is about Chicago and what, right? Everything.
We'll let you assume that, Dave.
So it is that crazy in Abilene.
Not in Abilene. You know what? Midland, Odessa is about 2 hours from here. So.
Well, they love to reference Abilene and having a go.
Yes, they do. There are some things that are highly accurate in that show.
I bet I don't want to know if I want to know which ones. Kind of a little worried about asking that. It came up earlier in the show, so that's why I thought it was rather apropos to bring it up now. This show's got all the weirdest ties together that I've ever had. Kendra, congratulations. Really impressive. Obviously a little tough to see NYU on the other side, but someone's going to have to beat them at some point, right? You might as well be you.
This is the Sweet 16.
Yeah.
So everybody's good.
Everybody's good. You're absolutely right. I assume everybody's got TSA pre-check, everybody's got their frequent flyer miles, and everybody's got their hotel points from this year at least, right?
I don't think we've really even truly unpacked yet, so we should be good to go.
Fair point. Appreciate the time. Thank you for humoring us, especially at the late hour. Good luck this week, and I know we'll catch up down the road. In the meantime, you know the tradition on this show. We always give the guests the final word. Any final thoughts you want to share with those who may be tuned in? Maybe especially about Landman.
I'll leave the Landman to you guys, but
Perfect.
Just a lot of thank yous, Dave. Thank you to you for what you do for Division III women's basketball. And as a part of the national committee, thank you from us as well. Thank you to my family. Like I said, this is the 6th month of season. I have a daughter that makes a lot of sacrifices, a husband that makes a lot of sacrifices, and parents that are very active and help us all along the way as well. To the parents and families of my players, thank you for trusting us to fly them all over the United States this year and take care of them and help them have hopefully great experiences. I'm sorry we didn't get to play at home a whole lot. And then to my team, thank you just for being a light in my life every day that we're in the gym together. This has been an incredible group. They have great chemistry, but they just have all the good stuff. They're about all the right things, and it's been a really, really fun year already.
Very cool. I'm thinking get some D3s to join you in Hawaii or Anchorage to add more time zones to your
I know. I
schedule.
said all 4 time zones, and I didn't clarify that there were others we could have played in.
Could have. You never know. Could have been more fun doing that. Hey, again, appreciate the time. Thank you so much. Safe travels. Good luck this weekend again, as I said. And I look forward to talking next time.
Thanks, Dave.
Take care. Kendra Whitehead joining us here on the Hoopsville Hotline. Great to chat with her about the very well-traveled Cowgirls of Hardin Simmons. We'll take another break. When we come back, we'll reset, kind of put a bow on the show, and sign off because I need some rest. I got another busy day ahead of me tomorrow. You're listening to Hoopsville. Please consider donating to our cause at buymeacoffee.com. And Grayson will re-answer your question coming up. Welcome back to Hoopsville, everybody, from my hotel room in Fort Myers, Florida. There are some people around who've probably been listening to me doing this show, wondering what is going on. By the way, the Haverford baseball team may be in this hotel for all I know. Ran into a college-age student who was wearing a Haverford baseball shirt, then walked into the lobby and ran into a bunch of guys who were probably his teammates just yesterday. And I have confirmed that Haverford is down here playing baseball in the Fort Myers area. They may be in my hotel for all I know. You can find D3 anywhere, even in a state that doesn't have D3 schools. It is springtime and spring break when football or baseball and softball teams are down here in Florida. I know there's been a lot of social media traffic regarding our Yeshiva interview and some others. I look forward to going back and seeing what some people had to say about that. Question said they're talking to Brad Terrell as a booster. If YU makes it as far as we hope, will you charter a jet for the team to depart Saturday night? That'll be an interesting one. I'll be fascinated to see how that works out. A reminder again, women, it's a normal pod of Sweet 16 and Elite 8 this weekend. So a normal pod just like this past weekend. Grayson was asking, we mentioned this at the start of the show. It's a normal weekend. So 2 games on Friday and a game on Saturday. You get all your links at d3hoops.com. Tickets, you can get into both games on Friday and then another ticket for Saturday. Those games are streamed live on NCAA's Championship Pass. I cannot emphasize this enough. If you have an Apple TV and Android TV, Amazon Fire Stick, a Roku app, any of those devices, look up the NCAA Championships Pass. You can get all the Division III games there. It's from our partners at Hudl. It's part of a system that puts all those games out for free. All those games are produced there. That's where you'll find all the games, along with all the links we'll have at d3hoops.com as well. A reminder, next weekend, not this weekend, next weekend, all the games move to ESPN Plus. Elite 8 and Final Four for men, plus a championship game in 2 weeks after that, 3 weeks from now in Indianapolis, all on ESPN Plus. Women's Final Four and championship game, also on ESPN Plus. So remember, this weekend, NCAA Championship Pass, or at d3hoops.com, we'll have all the links for you. And then from then on, it's all on ESPNU. I'm seeing games at John Long Center, one at 4:30 and one at 7 at Scranton. No, Scranton doesn't get the winner of the first game at 7, Grayson. There is an Elite 8 game at 4:30 at Scranton. That will be Johns Hopkins versus Concordia Moorhead. Then at 7, Scranton will take on Bates. Saturday, probably at 7, the winners of those 2 games will play on Saturday, just like this past weekend. Scranton played Framingham State in the first game, or on Friday. Before them, Otterbein and Randolph-Macon played. Then on Saturday, Scranton took on Otterbein. Same deal this weekend. Scranton will play at 7 o'clock against Bates. Johns Hopkins and Concordia Moorhead at 4:30. Winners to play Saturday with a chance to go to the championship. And a reminder, championship weekend is in Salem, Virginia at Roanoke College the next weekend. Hope that answers your question. If there's anybody else, get to us quickly because we're about to sign off. I'm double checking my email to make sure I didn't miss any emails from anybody because sometimes they come through at the last minute. I do not see anybody, so that is good. Double checking. I think that's it. So I think we're going to wrap it up. My voice is a little worn out. I had a long day. Appreciate you all tuning in. We had some awesome guests tonight. Really appreciate Zevi Samet and Elliot Steinmetz from Yeshiva, Brian Morehouse and Anna Richards from Hope, John Herbrechtsmeyer and Rosalie Penke from Bethel, John Krikorian from Christopher Newport, Kendra Whitehead from Hardin Simmons. Thank you to all their sports information departments as well at Yeshiva, Hope, Bethel, CNU, and HSU for their help in helping us put the show together because it's wild. I sent emails out extremely late Saturday night after I arrived here in Florida asking for everybody to come on the show. I had to work Sunday, so I had to balance trying to reply to those emails. I had no time to do any prep work in terms of graphics like you all are accustomed. And then today I was working too while we were still trying to get guests last minute booked. We will start the process for Thursday's show probably tonight. And we will do the same thing on Thursday's show here from our Hoopsville South studios. as we get ready. We'll talk to mainly hosts, I think, on Thursday's show, but there's a couple of guests I'd like to talk to who also may be traveling, so we have to figure out if we can get them on. It's a little tougher for the traveling group because they've got schedules to work around, whereas the host group at least can be home. I want to thank Misericordia again, Hoops, for sending the basketball polo. We wore it proudly tonight on purpose because we aren't in the Hoopsville studios with all the jerseys and all of that. By the way, we got the most incredible package that arrived right before I left. I did not have enough time to do a recording of it, but we will do one when we get back and put it out. We now have to rethink what we're putting on our Hoopsville shelves. That's all or walls. That's all I'm saying. Can't wait to show you this. It is an absolutely awesome addition to the show. And with that in mind, we will wrap it up. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. If you got any questions, somebody said, go Gulls. Which Gulls? I assume that's Endicott. Yeah. By the way, again, if anybody's curious, why is Endicott not hosting? From all we understand, they didn't put into host. We believe it was an accidental oversight. I don't know all the details because I haven't gotten them firsthand, but we believe it was just an accidental oversight. So they're traveling to Illinois Wesleyan, but that's a good Endicott squad. I think IWU's got its hands full. We're going to wrap up Thursday, 7 p.m., right back here, Hoopsville South in Fort Myers. Can't wait to get back on the air. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thanks for tuning in. You've been listening to Hoopsville, presented by D3Hoops.com from the WBCA's On the Road studios. Please become a member of Hoopsville. We got this off-court podcast coming out soon. We got some other perks. Please, we'll put the screen up right now. Put the screen up as we sign off. Hoopsville, buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. Buymeacoffee.com/Hoopsville. If you're buying me a coffee, that's a donation. If you go below that, you'll find the memberships sign up. Help us continue to do the work that we do. And thank you for tuning in. You've been listening to Hoopsville. Thanks to our partners at D3Hoops.com and the Women's Basketball Coaches Association for their help. And thank you, your fans, for tuning in and keeping us going. We'll see you on Thursday.